4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
From the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor, 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in. to another week and a Monday edition of the Zach Gelb Show right across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. We got Pat Boyle with us. We got Stuart Kovacs as well, and we are rock and rolling all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. Drew Pearson's going to stop by, the original 88, the Pro Football Hall of Famer. An hour 20 from now, we will preview the Dallas Cowboys season. And then to kick off the third and final hour of this Monday edition of the Extravaganza will be Barrett Sallee, who does a great job covering college football for OutKick and also Sirius XM. I shouldn't be in an incredulous mood today. I had a great weekend, right? Played some golf, enjoyed my time by the pool. It was a very mellow weekend. Something, though, happened late Friday evening that I'm still hot about it on Monday afternoon. And it is this dopey NFL top 100 list. Now, we talked about it on Thursday, that we knew who the final 10 names were. It was in alphabetical order. And we knew that they were going to reveal this list and the order of this list 8 p.m. Eastern time, Friday evening. And I remember saying when I was discussing this list with Stu last week, and we were talking about how the players may vote, I just hoped that Patrick Mahomes was not only going to be the first quarterback on this list and the number one quarterback on this list, but the number one player, period. And I remember referencing a list back in Mahomes's, I know it wasn't his rookie season, but his first true year playing, when he threw for 50 touchdown passes, and somehow Drew Brees, who had like 30-something touchdown passes, was voted in front of Patrick Mahomes. And I even remember saying last week that it seems like it should be a lock, right? Anyone with a brain, anyone that watches football, anyone that understands football clearly knows that Patrick Mahomes is not only the best quarterback in the league, but the best player, period, in the league. If we were to do a draft tomorrow with all 32 teams in the NFL and we put every player available in that draft pool, Mahomes would be the first pick. It does not matter which team you put in the number one pick slot. All 32 teams who get a chance at that number one pick and whatever crazy algorithm or theory or order you want. And guess what? Mahomes would be the first pick. So to see that Mahomes wasn't the first quarterback, I would say I should be stunned. But knowing the history and the stupidity of this list, I'm not. But this list has gone to a new low that not only is Patrick Mahomes not the number one quarterback on this list, but he was the fourth overall player on this list in the league. Like, you can't tell me. I don't care how much you hate Mahomes, how much you love Mahomes, whether you thought Mahomes wasn't great in the regular season or not. Even when the Chiefs weren't at their best this year, and it's been this way the last 2 years, it was still better than everybody else in the league when the games actually mattered. And why do you think that is? Sure, Travis Kelce came alive in the postseason. He was in the top 10 at number 9. Chris Jones, he could be one of the more clutch players in the last 5 years in the NFL. He was on that list at number 6. But you know it, and I know it. It doesn't matter how poor the regular season looks compared to their standard. It doesn't matter if they're down 10 points in a Super Bowl, which now they've been multiple times, or when they were down like 20-something points to the Texans in that divisional round game. It does not matter what the score is and how many points number 15 is down. As long as that dude is still on the field and he's healthy and there's time left in the game, no lead is safe. And you guys know me. I am definitely the biggest Tom Brady fan in the national media. I I can't think of someone that is a bigger Tom Brady fan on national radio than your boy. The only other time in the last, let's say, 30-something years of football that you felt that same way that I just described Patrick Mahomes was with Tom Brady. And we've seen some similarities with Brady and Mahomes. Sometimes, heck, they lose 4 games. Oh, the world is coming to an end. The sky is falling. Oh, my goodness gracious. They're vulnerable. Remember the last Super Bowl Brady won with the Pats? Heck, the last 2 Super Bowls he won. One with the Pats and one with the Buccaneers. In the regular season, ooh, Tom Brady's getting old. Ooh, there are problems brewing in New England. Ooh, there are problems brewing in Tampa Bay. And then when the games actually started to matter, when it is you lose and you go home, guess who didn't go home? Tom Brady. Tom Brady didn't go home until the last game of the season, and he had the Lombardi Trophy in his hand and another Super Bowl MVP trophy. And now what we saw for 2 decades with Brady's dominance is starting to happen again with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And I just don't understand how Christian McCaffrey, who's the best running back in football, how Lamar Jackson, who's a top 5 quarterback in football, I get it. These results are based off of last year. He won another MVP. I'm not trashing Lamar. I love Lamar. Like, I don't know, like from the start of his career, going back to when he was in college, I don't think there's been a bigger advocate for Lamar Jackson than me. It wasn't up until this year, this past postseason, when I started to question if Lamar could get the job done. I defended Lamar Jackson when you had dopes like Bill Polian saying, oh, he needs to change positions, coming out like, come on, give me a break, Bill. Seriously. I understand not all Heisman quarterbacks go on to be great quarterbacks in the NFL, but they all get an opportunity to do so. And you said he needed to change positions. And even up until this past year, I thought the sample size wasn't big enough for people saying Lamar couldn't win a championship. But if you go ask any GM, heck, go ask the Ravens GM. This is the best way to do it. Shoot the Ravens GM up with truth serum. Have him sit down next to me and have him answer the question, would you rather have Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes? And if he tells you Lamar, he's a liar. Every GM would be a liar because we all know who the best quarterback and the best players. And Tyreek Hill, I don't love him as a person, let me be clear, but Tyreek Hill as a football player, he's phenomenal. He's sensational. You know, right now, I don't see how you could say he isn't the best wide receiver in the NFL. And that's nothing against my guy, Justin Jefferson. That's nothing against Devontae Adams. But right now, with what he's done the last 2 years, yeah, Tyreek Hill is the best wide receiver in football. But guess what happened? You took away the best wide receiver in football from Patrick Mahomes, and he's won 2 more championships. And I'm talking about Patty Mahomes, not Tyreek Hill. The Dolphins can't even get out of the first round for crying out loud. So Tyreek Hill, best wide receiver in football. Lamar, top 5 quarterback in football. For me, he's the 4th best quarterback in football. Christian McCaffrey, the best running back in football. But we all know what the most important position is in football. And that's the quarterback position. And all 32 teams, if they had a chance of who they could pick to be their quarterback this year, even the Bengals, and I love Burrow, even the Bills with Josh Allen, even the Texans with C.J. Stroud, like whatever quarterback you want to name, Rodgers with the Jets, any GM that says they'd rather have their guy than Patrick Mahomes is lying. And the fact that this list came out and Tyreek was 1, Lamar was 2, Christian McCaffrey was 3, and then Patrick freaking Mahomes was 4 is a disgrace. Patrick Mahomes should be the best quarterback in the league on this list, and he should be the best player, period, on this list. And the only thing I could chalk it up to in terms of how the results didn't go, or the result didn't go I expected it to go, with Mahomes being 1, is that the NFL tinkered with this list. I'm accusing the NFL of tinkering with this list to just try to get a reaction. Because the NFL wants people talking about this list. And look at the timing when this list comes out. And you got players that are saying, oh, I've never voted on this list. You have veterans say they never voted on this. Isn't this list supposed to be voted on by the players? Some veterans said they've never voted on this list in their life. So I'm sure, they run over, hey, doing the practice squad, fourth string offensive lineman that no one gives a rat's ass about. Go put some names on the list. Now, how those guys don't put Mahomes number 1, I don't get. But maybe the results did go, Mahomes was 1, and the NFL's like, let's drop him down to 4. Let's put McCaffrey at 3, Lamar 2, and Tyreek Hill in at 1. Because and I know that sounds like a lame explanation and a lame theory, but that's all I got. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, whatsoever, but that's the only logical explanation that I could think about in terms of why Patrick Mahomes is not number 1. Because I could go around this room, ask Boyle, ask Stu, and you know what? If someone gives me an answer why it isn't Mahomes, I just think you're a troll. Seriously. Or you're just trying to get a reaction. So if that's what the NFL sought out to do, get a reaction, get Zach Gelb mad, get everyone in the media mad, get fans mad, job well done. But this list, it's rancid. It's trash. It's garbage. Because you can't be serious, and I can't take a list seriously if it doesn't have Mahomes at number 1. Here was the top 10, by the way. Max Crosby of the Raiders in at number 10. Stu, maybe the only thing your team wins this year. Sorry, that was mean. Travis Kelce in at number 9. TJ Watt in at number 8. Trent Williams in at number 7. Chris Jones in at number 6. Myles Garrett in at number 5. Patrick Mahomes in at number 4, Run CMC in at 3, Lamar Jackson in at 2, and then Tyreek Hill in at 1. Now, Pat Boyle, I got a question for you because you just distracted me. When I said Myles Garrett, you did some celebration. I thought you were no longer a fan of the Cleveland Browns.
I'm not, but I also thought you were still going to rip a, here we go, Brownies, here we go. Hoo, hoo.
I'm in preseason. We'll get that in a few weeks. See, we're just making sure that we're all fine-tuned and ready to go. So there are the top 10 for the NFL Top 100 list. Seriously, Boyle, you are you could sometimes be a troll. You have that in your DNA. Isn't that the only logical explanation the NFL just wanted to troll us here? There's no way Mahomes can't be one here.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially considering he had receivers that couldn't catch a football last year. And they still end up winning the Super Bowl. There's no question.
Kadarius Toney was looking like Clifford Franklin in the replacements at times. And they need him to go pay a visit to something in the show that I probably can't say on the radio because he does, or they accuse him of doing something with something else that gets his hands very sticky. If you can't figure it out by now, well, that's on you. It's not on me. Stu, you despise the Kansas City Chiefs. You are a Raiders fan.
That's right.
How the heck does Mahomes not get the number 1 spot here?
It's like you said. It's only to make us talk about this list. If Mahomes is number 1, we're probably not talking about this today. I don't see there's any other way we're talking about this if Mahomes not number 1.
It's like death, taxes, and then, Mahomes being one of the lists. That's the way that it should be for the foreseeable future.
It's so clear, too. It's almost unfathomable not only not to have him number 1, but to have him behind another quarterback and behind 3 other players. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I'm not accepting the results of this election. I'm sure we'll hear that a few more times as the year does progress. Here is Tyreek Hill on the NFL's TikTok channel on being voted as the number 1 player.
Yeah. Just want to say on behalf of the NFL players, want to congratulate you on being voted number 1.
You lying.
No, you never.
You lying, boy. Why you lying, boy?
Hey.
Why you lying, boy?
Hey.
Come on, boy. Come on. Yes, sir. Come on. I've been wanting that for so long, boy.
You got it, man. You deserve it, bro.
What I said my rookie year, huh? What I said my rookie year, huh? Get me turned up, man. Let me call my mama, bro. Man, hold on, bro. Why she not answer, bro? Hey, bro, I'm finna pass out, bro. Oh, my God. This is surreal, bro.
You know what? I take everything back I just said. I accept the results of this list just for that reaction. Because if it was to Mahomes, he would be sounding like Kermit the Frog, and I can't imitate Kermit the Frog. And he would basically just be like, yeah, whatever. Another meaningless thing that I've won. I only care about Super Bowls and Super Bowl MVPs. So that's a good reaction there. by Tyreek Hill, because Mahomes really would not have cared about this. Tyreek Hill, like a fat kid in a candy store, celebrating. I love that, but let me call my mom. Why isn't she answering the phone? That's unbelievable. So what do you make of these NFL top 100 lists and the results of the top 100 list? As Patrick Mahomes was ranked 4th, Christian McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson, and Tyreek Hill all in front of the great Patrick Mahomes. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. When we come on back, we have the latest on the Michigan scandal, and one thing that will get my blood to boil if the NCAA elects to do what I think could maybe happen.
Why she not answer, bro? Hey.
But first, let me tell you about my friends at Circa Resort and Casino. The biggest pro football contests in Vegas are back. Circa Survivor and Circa Million are now up to $16 million in guaranteed prizes. You have 2 ways to win and no rake. Circa Survivor contestants select one team each week with no point spread. If the team loses or ties, the entry is eliminated. You can only pick each team once in a season. Last the longest to win it all with the $10 million guaranteed. In Circa Million, make 5 picks against the spread each week for your share of $6 million guaranteed quarterly and full season payouts. The entry that does the worst wins $100,000. You must register at a Circa Sportsbook in Nevada, Las Vegas, Henderson, or Sparks Reno. We are heading out to Circa Las Vegas, and we'll be doing our show live from Circa on August 22nd and 23rd. Entries are now open and close September 7th at 2 p.m. Visit circasports.com for details and rules. Must be 21 and present in Nevada. Paid for by Circa Sports.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. So I was golfing yesterday, and I had something happen to me on the golf course that has never happened before. I was on like the 13th or the 14th hole, and I'm starting to get better at golf. I'm really starting to hit the ball, and I think I started to figure out my driver. It slices a bit, but I'm starting to get good distance on the driver. But my irons have been solid. And I will say this, my favorite club in the bag is my 6-iron for some reason. I just love my 6-iron. And I was hitting my 6-iron really, really, really good yesterday. But on the 13th or 14th hole, I was off in the rough a little bit to the left. And I went to swing, and there was because it was raining for some of the morning yesterday, and my tee time was at 9:10 a.m. Eastern. And since it rained the night before and a little bit in the morning, a lot of tee times canceled. And the track that we played on was more than fine. It was car path only, which gets a little bit annoying because then you got to walk all the way across. Oh, man, I wish I had my 7-iron, let's say, instead of the 6, and then you got to walk all the way back and get the club. So that could get a little bit obnoxious. But on this hole, for whatever reason, it was either 13 or 14, I forget, we were able to play more than one ball because there was no one really behind us. So it was me and two of my other buddies, and we both hit 2 tee shots. So one I hit pretty much down the middle, and the other one was to the left. So I went to go play the ball to the left first. And I go to swing with my 6-iron, and there was no anything crazy, any objects on the ground. And the next thing I know, when I make contact, the club breaks. And the head of the club just falls off and went flying. So I had to go to the PGA Superstore yesterday, and it cost me $54 to get that club fixed. I thought the club was pretty much checked into hospice, and we were going to have a funeral for the club. But the club was able to be saved. So it's now getting some work on right now. And my guy Dennis at the PGA Superstore, after $54, I think it was maybe 52. It was either 52 or 54. He said that bad boy will be fixed by Wednesday. But when I was on the golf course, I got this alert. And you can never get through a Sunday peacefully. There's always you're trying to have a peaceful day on the golf course. I know that could be an oxymoron, a peaceful day on the golf course. But I get this alert. Latest on Michigan Sandal could face a suspension for Michigan coach Sharon Moore. And I'm like, what the heck is the latest now? So ESPN, of course, Pete Thamel, he got the draft, and he's got to see the draft of the notice of allegations from the NCAA to Michigan. And there were 3 things here that stood out. And I know reading articles on the air always doesn't make for the best radio, but I have 3 things here that I just highlighted. Here was number 1. The draft of allegations does not provide any evidence that Harbaugh was involved in Stallion's operation or that he knew it was going on. The draft states that Harbaugh failed to actively look or evaluate red flags. Now, Boyle, hear me out here. And I think I don't know where you stand on this issue. I think the story, I'm not saying Michigan did nothing wrong. I've admitted Michigan has done some things wrong. But I think the infraction that they did with Connor Stallions and the scouting and all that, I said from the start, I don't think it's that impactful and it impacts the game as much as people think. And a lot of former players agree. Heck, one down the hall, Tiki Barber, when this first came out, he was like, this to me is like a nothing burger story. So I always thought there was weight to that. But once Michigan goes on after the scandal becomes public to defeat Penn State, the likes of Penn State, Ohio State, Alabama, and Washington, the story, I know it doesn't go away, but in terms of me actually caring and thinking that Michigan screwed over other programs, that goes right out the window. That's where I kind of feel. But with all that being said, Boyle, it is inconceivable to me how, you think the NCAA, they have all their information out there, and this is a big story, and it's a big deal, and they haven't been able to find any evidence that Harbaugh knew, and they still claim that Harbaugh, they can't find anything that Harbaugh was involved in Stallion's operation, that he knew it was going on. The draft states that Harbaugh failed to actively look or evaluate red flags. How the heck do you have this operation if there really is a smoking gun here? And Harbaugh had no knowledge of this when he meticulously knows everything about that program. That to me is crazy.
Yeah, and that doesn't. I guarantee you there never will be any evidence that comes out that Harbaugh knew about it. Not at this point.
And here's the other part. So I have two more things. The draft, which could be subject to change. That's the other thing. This is why I feel slimy what ESPN did yesterday. And I get it. They have their reporting and, they get leaked the draft. But you're leaking a draft. If you have the word, the draft, which could be subject to change, well, how much does it change? But it states that Moore could face a show cause penalty and possibly a suspension for allegedly deleting a thread of 52 text messages with former Michigan staffer Connor Stallions in October of 2023. On the same day that media reports revealed Stallions was leading an effort to capture the play calling signals of future opponents. The draft states that the texts were later recovered via device imaging, and Moore subsequently produced them to enforcement staff. Moore is accused of committing a level 2 violation according to the draft. So the way I read that, Boyle, and correct me if you heard this wrong, Sharon Moore, the day that this stuff comes out, goes, I got to delete 52 text messages to Connor Stallions. I admit it. That does not look good. That looks shady. But are they going to punish him for the actual details in that message? Or is it just for the act of deleting the messages? Because I read it as it's the latter, not the former, that whatever was on those text messages maybe weren't that bad, because you think they would be kind of leaked out by the NCAA if that was the case. But it was just the act of actually deleting them, Boyle.
Yeah. To me, this seems like you said, like Tiki Barber initially said when this whole scandal came out, it was a nothing burger. This quote-unquote update that we got yesterday, this is a nothing burger. There's a lot of times I get notifications coming through, and I swipe out of them. Like, for example, I have notifications for the 2 local baseball teams. If I'm watching either game, swipe right out of the notification because I just saw it happen. When I got this notification,
I thought it was juicy
because Schefter retweeted it, I think, right?
Yeah.
So I got that alert. Not only did I swipe out of it, if it were to come to me in paper form, you know what I would have done with it?
What would you have done with it?
To keep it PG, let's just say I would have added it to the 2-ply paper towel roll.
Okay,
or the toilet paper roll, I should say.
I'm just happy to know that you're a 2-ply guy. You gotta be a 2-ply guy.
Actually, I'm a baby wipes guy. Let's be honest. Okay. Let's get that on the table.
That's fair.
Flushable baby wipes. That is a life-changing move.
How many are you baby wipes throughout, or do you start with the actual toilet paper and then go to the baby wipes?
No, it's baby wipes first, and then the toilet paper as the closer
to make sure that you didn't miss anything.
Yeah, you don't want mud butt.
And then finally, the NCAA draft obtained by ESPN states that investigators used ticket information, film, photographs, and interviews to determine that Stallions had impermissibly scouted at least 13 future Michigan opponents on at least 58 occasions between 2021 and 2023. He directed others to scout some opponents multiple times, included one team that they scouted 7 different times in 2022. According to the draft, the investigators also allege that multiple team interns and at least one other full team employee knew about the scheme and participated in it. The draft says that Stallions led those individuals to believe that what they were doing was not against the rules. Now, here's like the big part of this article. The draft also states that the NCAA gathered evidence that shows Stallions was on the sideline at Michigan State's season opening game against Central Michigan in 2023. Stallions was wearing a bench pass, Central Michigan coaching gear, and a disguise, according to the draft, which states that Stallions' conduct seriously undermine or threaten the integrity of the NCAA collegiate model. The draft does not say how Stallions obtained a bench pass for the Chippewas sideline. Well, how do you have this big investigation, right? And don't get me wrong, it's clearly Stallions on the sideline. I didn't need this report to tell me this. But this has been an investigation that the NCAA has spent a lot of time and resources on, and you can't figure out how he got the pass? Marco, you covered a lot of events. Pat Boyle, you've covered a lot of events. Stu, you covered a lot of events. I've covered a lot of events. When you need a pass for a college football game, you email the SID, or you have, right, the university that you're at email the SID. So how is that chain of commands not found? And also, it's not like he was in the press box like us four knuckleheads would be. You need a different type of pass to be on the sidelines. So how can't they figure out how this guy was not only on the sidelines, but visible on the sidelines, and no one has any idea how this guy got his pass? That, to me, I don't even care about the infractions here, right? Michigan goes on to win the national championship when everything was clean. They beat Penn State. They beat Ohio State. They beat Alabama. They beat Washington and win the national championship. So, like, they kind of proved that it wasn't as advantageous what they were doing. And it's still stupid that they did it, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be punished, but Marco, that's the craziest part to me, is that we all knew Stallions was on that sideline, and no one has an idea how he got there. And it's not a school that is Michigan. It's Michigan State, and it's Central Michigan, and no one's going to rat out how that guy got on the sideline.
The ineptitude in this investigation, I mean, is glaring. But it's not surprising, because it does feel like there's three guys that are all kind of chasing their tail. Did you get this? Yeah, I'll get to it. I'll get around to it. That's what the entire investigation feels like. It almost feels like, guys, when you get something, why don't you get together, discuss it, figure it out, and let us know what the hell's going on.
And this is just the draft, so I'm sure we're going to get more details that come out of this when the full thing is published,
I'm sure,
right?
And they'll be fine-toothed. They'll be right down to the wire. We'll know exactly what's going on. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. The entire investigation is a sham. All of this is garbage, and it's not going to amount to anything anyway. So why don't you just, wrap it up in a nice bow, tell us you have no idea what the hell's going on, and we move on with our lives.
You know what this is? The NCAA operates. They really don't care what the penalty is. It's, do you bow down to the NCAA? Like when Harbaugh had the infractions that made him miss the first few games of the season, and they had to have, he could coach, I think, during the week, and then once it was at the game, he couldn't coach. So many.
Was that the Burgers one? Was that that one? Yeah. Oh, okay.
That's the impermissible contact during the COVID dead period. The reason the NCAA is about to, they were about to agree, and the people that run that investigation on a suspension for him, but they wanted Harbaugh to basically admit that he lied and he did everything wrong, and he's like, I'm not doing that. So they were going to agree last year to a suspension, and then that didn't happen, and then here we are with that, and that was then self-imposed, so they kind of go light or whatever it was, however it did play out. But that's what happens with the NCAA. I don't think they're actually mad about what Stallions did. I'm not saying what Stallions did was right, but it's now, okay, Sharon Moore, you deleted 50-something text messages. That, to me, we just talked about it, Boyle. It seems like they're punishing Sharon Moore. They're going to try to punish Sharon Moore for not deleting the text messages, rather than what were you actually texting about, and was there anything in those text messages that were worthy of a suspension?
To give them the benefit of the doubt, the best I can say, the best compliment I can give the NCAA, they feel like a bad parent. That's what it feels like. Yeah. A parent where it's just like, look, I know you did something wrong. If you just tell me you did it wrong, then maybe I'll go lighter on you. But I really don't want to punish you in the first place because I feel bad for whatever you did. So I know I have to do something. But, if you kind of self-impose and you say you'll take away your Xbox for 2 weeks, maybe that'll be good enough. They don't know what the hell's going on. They don't really truly care what's going on, but they want to try to show you that they are really involved and that they're on top of everything. You're not.
And also, let's be real. The NCAA is getting weaker by the day. Right, the college football playoff isn't run by the NCAA. These conferences, even in the NCAA, it's basically the Big Ten and the SEC, and then everybody else. The NCAA doesn't have this great power, and they insert themselves in these situations where it's like, all right, the Big Ten suspended the coach for 3 games. You had the Big Ten take care of it. Now the NCAA has to do their own investigation, and the worst thing to happen, I think, for the NCAA was that Michigan still stuck it up everyone's you-know-what. And they still went on to win the national championship. So, what are we doing here?
No, I get it, but that's part of the idea of with the NIL. Your whole job was to stop teams or universities from paying athletes. That was the biggest thing, to make sure that everything was above table. That didn't work at all, but that was your basic main job. Now none of that stuff exists. So now we're worried about what? Nonsense. And you have no power over that either. So you had no power at any point, it feels like. And none of this stuff means anything except for what? 5 years from now, you want to tell me that Michigan didn't win the national championship even though I watched it? Congratulations. Nobody cares at that point.
Well, that's my point. And let me just say this. If the NCAA takes away this championship, which I guess is on the table, they're a bunch of dopes. They really are. And I don't care how serious or even if there's something that criminally happened or not, when we watch games and the results happen, you can't then tell me, oh, just because I don't like how they happen, and there could have been cheating, or there could have been someone that we don't like, that now we have to wipe away the championship and pretend that Washington actually won that game when we saw Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum run through them like a hot knife through butter. That to me is just a joke if they do that.
It's asinine whenever you take away a title because it's already happened. It's worse if you tell me that you knew about it going in. You just weren't 100% sure of all the particulars, but you let them play the game anyway. Well, so I'm sorry, all this stuff. No, you can't go back and revisionist to anything anyway. You got if there's going to be a punishment, it's got to be moving forward, not what happened 10 years ago.
Well, that's a fair point because there were people, Ryan Hickey at the time, that were like, hey, they shouldn't let Michigan play for the rest of the year. Now, the NCAA doesn't have control of the college football playoffs, so the college football playoff committee could have put Michigan still in. But if they would have not let them play the final 3 games, nor the Big Ten championship, I don't think there's a case for them to be one of the 4 best teams in the nation. So that basically would have kicked them out of the college football playoff. So the NCAA allowed them to continue. I had no problem with it at the time, and I thought this thing was all overblown from the start, and they still won. So it's once they go on to win, it's now all this other stuff, after we've already seen a punishment happen, just seems ridiculous.
Again, all of this is smoke and all nonsense anyway, but they do like to hold on to that carrot, and for some reason they like to think that actually means something. Can you tell me the teams that have had championships taken away? Because I don't know who the hell they are. You can tell me that
Louisville?
Yeah, great. I watched it.
And basketball?
So what? So you don't have the banner?
Reggie Bush got his Heisman taken away. You may have heard of that one.
Yeah, I get it. The actual banner itself. So the banner doesn't hang in the gym, so that means it didn't happen? No. You're telling me anybody on that team doesn't tell you that they won a title?
Yeah.
Rick Pitino doesn't say, I didn't coach that team.
Hey, Marco,
Stop.
You're getting sleepy. The championship.
Stop.
1, 2, 3, poof.
And Reggie Bush got his Heisman back.
You're right.
They vacated and gave it back. What I really want to know is how the hell, like you said, how did Connor Stallions get on that Central Michigan sideline? Who approved of him? And if not, if he wasn't approved and he just snuck on,
good for him.
Then that's pretty cool.
Security.
I would like to try that with school. Rutgers probably can't get away with it. Princeton, they're too smart. I'd probably have to go down to Jersey Shore. I'll sneak on the Monmouth sideline and I'll videotape for whoever Monmouth is playing later that year.
I think Monmouth would be happy that people just be on their sidelines for a game.
Same thing with the Chippewas.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. They selling out their stadium?
That I do not know. Probably not. All right. This is Zach Gelb Show, the Infinity Sports Network. We'll get to the some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio when we come on back. We call it the News Brief. But first up, with the latest Infinity Sports Network, here is El Capitan, Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
And Zach, we're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with Life Electronic Device and Pet Health Insurance. Steelers hoping to have Russell Wilson a full participant in practice this week after dealing with that calf injury. Justin Fields has gotten a leg up with the work in the first unit. For chemistry, Mike Tomlin looking for Wilson and Fields to grab hold of the team organically. This is courtesy of SiriusXM.
I think it's important that we respect the get-to-know process professionally in a setting like this, that we spend a lot of time together. Not only him, but Justin and the other quarterbacks are new here too. I meet with those guys every morning at 8 o'clock to kind of get the day started, whether we got subject matter to talk about or not, because there's no substitute for time spent in terms of getting to know one another.
Giants and Lions, a little dust up at a joint practice. Daniel Jones was right in the middle of it for Big Blue. Teammate Brian Burns, interested to hear it, but also some advice for his QB.
Oh, Lord. Daniel got jiggy with it. Daniel was out there with it? Yeah. I'm going to need him to back up. I'm going to need him to back up. Let his O-line handle that. But, Daniel, he's a competitor, man. He's a fighter, so I don't expect nothing less from him, but I don't need him in that. I don't need him to get hit.
And Simone Biles took the silver in the floor exercise, her 11th career Olympic medal. I'm Marco Belletti.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X and like us on Facebook. Our handle is @INF Sportsnet on X and INF Sportsnet for Facebook.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
All right, it's time to Ask the Pros. Where you, the listener, gets asked us a question. It's brought to you by our friends at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show. We might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I opened up the program today talking about how much of a joke the NFL Top 100 list is because Patrick Mahomes was ranked 4th, and you had Christian McCaffrey 3rd, Lamar Jackson 2nd, and Tyreek Hill in at number 1. Jalen Johnson, though, of the Bears, rips the NFL Top 100 list. Listen up.
There ain't no way. I don't know how you make Pro Bowl, All-Pro, and you're not a top 100 guy. I could have been 101, I guess, but Aaron Rodgers didn't even play in the season. He was voted. So, hey, everybody made mistakes. It ain't just the media that do it. The players, clearly, if they voted for this, they made some mistakes. But it is what it is. End of the day, I know the truth.
Yeah, Rodgers was ranked 92nd on this list. He played 4 snaps. 4 snaps and then was done for the season. He's ranked 92nd. And Jalen Johnson, he brings up a good point. Yeah, I made a Pro Bowl, guys. All right, Pro Bowl, a lot of people, they get in after like 7 people say, I was also a second-team All-Pro. So how could you be a second-team All-Pro and not make the NFL Top 100 list? I'm with them on that one. Here is Sean Payton on Bo Nix's pocket pressing.
I think it's a trait that when we watched, you see pretty good pocket sense. Doesn't take a lot of sacks. I think he knows when the play's over, time to go. And then I think he can make plays when he's going. So I used to say this all the time, that the sack numbers are a reflection more on the quarterback than the offensive line. And there are some, Breeze was one of those guys, he was a tough sack. Ball came out, and I think Bo has traits like that.
Tough what?
He's the 12th pick of the draft. I'm not saying everything comes easy for the 12th pick of the draft. Totally get that. But do we really need a 35-second soundbite? That didn't sound all that encouraging. And then it wraps up with you basically talking about how Drew Brees didn't take a lot of sacks, and it may not have been because of a lot of the offensive line. It was more so the quarterback. All right, fine, fair point.
Tough sack.
But come on. What are we doing? Seriously. Can we just let Bo Nix be Bo Nix without trying to make him be Drew Brees? I'm telling you, the Broncos with Sean Payton as their coach, they're extremely unlikable. They are. That guy the last 2 years, I've done a complete 180 on. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Let's go to Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. He doesn't want Travis Hunter or Shedeur Sanders being touched at practice. Listen up.
In pass, we having contact. Take care of your guys. Like I'm going to tell you, do not touch the receivers. Don't get near the quarterback and leave Travis alone. We got that?
Sir.
We understand that?
Sir.
I'm not playing favors. I'm just being 100. It is what it is. When you get to the next level, every quarterback is worth $250 million, right? You think they're going to let you touch it? All right, so let's play like we're on the next level.
So that's common practice, the quarterback part. You don't touch the quarterback. I've never, you think at the Dolphins practice, they go, All right, obviously you can't touch Tua, but don't touch Tyreek. Don't touch Tyreek Hill. Kansas City Chiefs, don't touch Travis Kelce. And imagine if you're one of the running backs on the team, you're like, hey, coach, so it's okay if I get my ass and my teeth kicked in, but God forbid you touch Travis Hunter. Kind of like that. And you are playing favorites, Coach Prime. That's the most favorite thing I've ever heard. That's such favoritism. A quarterback I get, but every other position, I've never heard that for other positions. Let's go to Dak Prescott on his contract situation on the final year of his deal and all the speculation that maybe not he'll get a new deal by the start of the season.
I'm under contract right now, so all I need to do is be the best that I can be for my job and this year, and then whatever happens, whether it's in a couple of weeks, who knows when it is, if it does happen, it'll happen. I'm not worried about that. And as I said, I've got people that are handling that with the front office here and a lot of confidence in it.
So Tyreek Hill got, I don't want to say, I guess it is a new deal. It wasn't an extension in terms of years. It was just more guaranteed money because his guaranteed money was expired after this year. I thought that Tyreek was going to get a deal done next year, but with the way that the guaranteed money is of importance, I guess it made sense for both parties to get that done now. When it comes to Dak Prescott, just real quickly, I want to go around the room. I don't think he's getting a new deal before the start of the season. Boyle, yes or no? Does he get a new deal?
Yes.
Stu?
Does not.
Okay, why do you think yes, Boyle? Just wondering.
They got to pay the quarterback. They have to pay one of these three guys before this season starts. How much longer are you going to let this carry on? Knowing Jerry Jones, maybe he doesn't, because he seems like he operates like an imbecile lately. But
What'd you call him?
You would an imbecile.
Imbecile, you mean?
Imbecile.
Is that the right word?
Yeah.
I thought it was imbecile.
No, well, I mean, it's spelled Imbecile, so imbecile, I think.
You say imbecile?
Yes.
I say imbecile. Stu?
I'm with Zach. I say imbecile.
I've never heard someone say imbecile.
I'm pretty sure that's how you say it.
Maybe you're the imbecile. Or imbecile.
But you would think out of the three, Dak, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, if there's one guy to pay before this season starts, you pay Dak Prescott.
Okay. And I understand what the Cowboys do never makes sense, but it would have made sense for them to get that deal done before free agencies so they could move around that cap number for this year, which was $60 million. They got it down to $55 million. That's why they shouldn't have been imbeciles.
Imbecile.
No, that's wrong.
Imbecile.
That's AI.
Imbecile.
And that's got an accent on it.
No, were you being serious there, or were you just trolling us?
No, imbecile. The way it's
Imbecile.
spelled, Stu, is it not spelled the end C-I-L-E?
It's spelled C-I-L-E, yes, but it's...
Oh, I also pronounced Reno as Reno earlier, so maybe we're all a bunch of imbeciles today
Imbecile.
on this show. Alrighty. I don't think he's going to get a new deal done because I thought it would have made more sense to get it done before free agency actually started. I think it's more likely that you'll get CeeDee Lamb or Micah Parsons taken care of. And quite frankly, if I'm Dak, I'd wait. You get to free agency. You got a no-tag clause in that contract. I would say, let's wait. Let's punt until this upcoming offseason. Alrighty. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network, where we might be some imbeciles or some imbeciles. Are you being serious there? There's no way you're actually being serious.
I'm 1,000% serious. I've always said imbecile. That's how it's spelled.
Your parents are probably just like, yeah, we don't want to correct him. We feel bad for him enough already as it is. When we come on back, we will draft the top 10 players of the NFL for the top 100. When it came to the people that were in the top 10, I have big issues with not putting Mahomes one. We'll see what we would have done when we return in 5 minutes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, rocking and rolling. Hour number 2 of our radio program. That's right. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. And coming up 20 minutes from now, we will preview the Dallas Cowboys season as we continue to go through all 32 teams. And we'll check in with the original number 88 And that, of course, is the Pro Football Hall of Famer in Drew Pearson. We'll get his thoughts about the upcoming season for the Dallas Cowboys. So the NFL Top 100 list came out on Friday. I was not a fan of it because Patrick Mahomes wasn't the first quarterback on the list, nor was he the number one player overall. Tyreek Hill, number one. Lamar Jackson, number two. Christian McCaffrey, number three. Patty Mahomes in at number four. You had Myles Garrett in at 5, Chris Jones 6, Trent Williams 7, TJ Watt 8, Travis Kelce 9, and Mad Max Crosby in at number 10. So this list to me is invalidated because Mahomes isn't one. I don't see how any sane human being that is being unbiased can make the case that Mahomes isn't the best quarterback in the sport, let alone not the best player in the sport. So that to me is crazy. That was my big fear, as we talked about on Thursday, that Mahomes wouldn't be the first quarterback because Lamar won the MVP, and also that maybe they would go for a defensive player or a skill position player in front of Mahomes, because I've seen that before, at least in defense. Like, I love Aaron Donald. I do. Aaron Donald's a stud. There were years where he was one. It's like, yeah, as great as Aaron Donald is, you still want the best quarterback, and that should be the best player in the league. So I can't say that I'm totally shocked, but there is part of me that is surprised because it just should be a given that Mahomes is the best quarterback and the best player in the league. So let's do this. Last week when we were talking about this, Stu and I gave our list on how we thought that the NFL was going to release this and what the order would be based off on how the players voted. Now let's do how we actually feel with just the 10 players that were in the top 10. So, for example, if you think that there was another deserving player, I don't know why. I wouldn't argue that CeeDee Lamb's a top 10 player in the game, but that was just the first thing that came to mind. Like, if you think CeeDee Lamb should be in the top 10, that's not how this works. If you think Josh Allen or Fred Warner should be in the top 10, that's not how this works. Just based off the players that did go in the top 10, how would we have selected them? Understood?
And this is basically like how we would start a football team?
No, just best player in the league.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Capiche?
Capiche.
Don't be an imbecile here. If you're just getting into your car, that's because Pat Boyle thought imbecile was the way that it was pronounced when it's imbecile.
I'm going to the grave with that. That's grammatically, whatever, syntaxically incorrect for people to say imbecile. If we're not going to spell words the right way of how they should be said, then fix the spelling.
Now, let me just say this. I am not going to pretend like I am Einstein, okay? I have a lot of stupid moments on this show and in life in general. But I do think there is a curse in that room from a ghost of the past of a guy by the name of Morash. And I think Sean Morash, for sitting in those chair all those years, and God bless that chair, Moraz, whatever you want to call him, it kind of made everyone just behind the glass just really speak out of their ass, if you know what I'm saying, and say a lot of stupid things. It's not just you, Boyle. I think you are working with a ghost sitting next to you, and when you're about to say something the right way, you just say it the wrong way. I don't put that on you. I am blaming the ghost of whatever happened to that guy in Morash, however he goes by now. But I haven't seen him in a long time.
The cream will rise to the crop.
Anywho, let's do this draft.
Come on,
order.
I'm not messing stuff up like that.
I don't know. Imbecile is pretty bad.
I mean, look at the way that the word is spelt.
I understand, but anyone that's not an imbecile would tell you would know how the word is pronounced.
Take the E off then. Take the E off the word. What is it even there for?
All righty, let's go. Stu, since you're not an imbecile, I'll give you the first pick.
He gets the first pick because of that?
Well, yeah, because I think there's a chance that you'll be like, oh, it should be Trent Williams is the best player in the league.
Clearly, Max Crosby is the number one now. Yes, we will go with Patrick Mahomes, the best player in the league, the best player in the sport, the guy that haunts me every day.
Thank you. See, this is me trying to be a good guy. I'm trying to get the ball to my other players here. And I knew if I threw the ball to Boyle first, he could have just completely took this exercise and ran it right off the tracks. So that's why I wanted Stu to go first, because I knew Stu would deliver and just hit the ball right down the fairway, 200 yards, right down the fairway, and give me the correct answer of Patrick Mahomes. Patty Boyle, who do you got here?
Christian McCaffrey, CMC, number 2. Doesn't matter who his quarterback has been, whether it's time in Carolina or now at San Francisco. The guy can run. The guy's the best running back. He's also one of the best receivers in football. Like, let's acknowledge that. And he's a running back. He's durable, yards after contact. He's so tough to bring down. Did I mention durable? I mean, he is...
Did you mention he could run?
He's the greatest. He's the best weapon that you could have right now in football.
Okay. So out of the players that were in the top 10, we're drafting the order the way that they should be. Stu takes Mahomes 1. Pat Boyle goes Christian McCaffrey, a running back, where the analysis was he could run, which I enjoyed that. I will go with, I think I'm going to surprise people here. My first answer, I will give the cheetah in Tyreek Hill. My next answer, though, was someone that was not in the top 5. I'm going to go a defensive player. And I think you're splitting hairs for the best defensive player in the league. But as we enter this season, I think the best defensive player in the league is TJ Watt, who has led the NFL in sacks 3 out of the last 4 seasons. So I will go TJ Watt in at number 4. So Mahomes 1, run CMC 2. I took Tyreek Hill 3rd, TJ Watt 4th. Pat, who do you got sitting in there with the 5th pick?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, and again, if we're drafting a team, I'm probably going elsewhere. But just drafting who we think is the top player in football now at the 5 spot, it would be hard for me to not take Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP, one of the best running quarterbacks we've ever seen, if not the greatest running quarterback we've seen ever already. Yeah, tough for me to pass up Lamar.
No, I thought that was the right selection right there. All right, Stu, give me your first of 2 picks here.
Okay, so with my first pick here, I will go with the guy who I think is at his position, other than Mahomes, by far the best player in the sport at his position, and I'll go Trent Williams. I just think he's such a dominant offensive lineman. The big guys don't get enough credit. I think he is next for me in terms of just his pure dominance at that position.
So right now we have 6 players off the board. Mahomes was 1. Run CMC was 2, Tyreek Hill 3, TJ Watt 4, Lamar Jackson 5, and Trent Williams in at 6. So out of the 10 players that were in the top 10, obviously we've taken 6 off the board. So that means you have 4 left. And out of the 4 left, Chris Jones is still available, Myles Garrett is still available, Travis Kelce is still available, and Max Crosby still available. Stu?
I'll go Myles Garrett. I think he is the second best defensive player in the league behind TJ Watt. I think he's the second best defensive lineman in the league behind TJ Watt, so I will go with him here.
Okay. Boyle, what do you got cooking?
I am not taking Kelce. I don't even think he belongs in the top 10. So it's either, for me, it's down to Max Crosby or it is Chris Jones. And to me, it's unquestioned Chris Jones. Not only because he's what he's done in the regular season, and he's basically been first-team All-Pro back-to-back years now, first or second-team All-Pro 5 out of the last 6 years.
And so many clutch plays in those wins.
And in the postseason, what he has proven he can do, whereas some of these guys on this list shrink in January, both literally and metaphorically. Chris Jones rises. He stiffens up. He hardens up.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have to make everything sexual?
What are you talking about?
We have been here for an hour and 9 minutes. We have not even, that is 69 minutes we have been here, by the way.
Nice.
That was not intended. And then I realized it because I knew if I didn't say anything, Boyle would be like, oh, 69. Ha, ha, ha. Wait, you have been here for 69 minutes. And if someone had the over of how many sexual remarks you would make or things covered in sexual innuendo, the over would have already hit. It is crazy.
That was a good one. You brought attention to it. I thought it flew under the radar, and I had no problem with it.
Okay. You give a mouse a cookie around here. What I've learned is that mouse wants a glass of milk. I will say, what you did say, though, I agree with. In terms of, based off last season, I do not think that Travis Kelce should have been a top 10 player. I thought he should have been just outside the top 10. Played like a top 10 player in the postseason, but there was a big portion of the regular season last year where we were questioning how much longer Travis Kelce was going to play. Now, he was the biggest story of the NFL season this past year because of who he dated in Taylor Swift. But I would actually put Max Crosby here at 9, and that means, we could just throw Kelce in there at 10. So let's just examine their list versus our list. So their list was Tyreek Hill 1, Lamar Jackson 2, Christian McCaffrey 3, Patrick Mahomes 4, Myles Garrett 5, Chris Jones 6, Trent Williams 7, TJ Watt 8, Travis Kelce 9, and Mad Max Crosby in at 10. Our list that we did with us three knuckleheads, us three imbeciles, however you want to say it. The way that we drafted it was Mahomes 1, Run CMC 2, Tyreek Hill 3, TJ Watt 4th, Lamar Jackson 5, Trent Williams 6, Myles Garrett in at 7, Chris Jones 8, Max Crosby 9, and Travis Kelce in at number 10. You know what? I think they should actually not let the players vote on this anymore. Because we don't even know if all the players do vote on this. I've heard players in interviews before say, I've never voted on this and I've been in the league for like almost a decade. I kind of feel like the NFL should trust us three. And we got to get like someone else, someone that's, a real stat number nerdy guy to tell us what analytics that we've missed on, to compile a list of the top 100 players in the NFL. Because I think our list is a list of integrity and is a list of honesty and is a list of understanding football. Because if you don't have Mahomes as the best player in the sport, or at least the best quarterback in the sport, you want to tell me a defensive lineman is more worthy than a quarterback? Okay, fine, but you're wrong. You want to tell me a receiver more worthy than a quarterback? Fine, but you're wrong. You want to tell me a running back more worthy than a quarterback? Fine, but you're wrong. But at least we had Mahomes as the first quarterback and the first player. And after that, we could have just completely messed up and urinated down our leg for the rest of this, for the other 9 players. But we didn't do that. And then we go again. I say urination. Boyle cracks a smile. I see a smile from Pat Boyle.
I can't smile. I can't, can't react to you.
Hey, real quickly, let me just ask you your thoughts here on the spot, Boyle. Division winners in the NFL. Who wins the NFC East?
NFC East, Cowboys repeat.
Oh, first division repeat winner in the NFC East since the early 2000s. Okay. I have the Eagles. Who wins the NFC North?
Lions.
I would agree on that. Who wins the NFC South?
By default, because everybody else in that division sucks.
I wouldn't say they suck.
Give me the Falcons to not choke on themselves.
I will put the Falcons there in the NFC South. I wouldn't say the Saints suck. I wouldn't say the Buccaneers suck. I just don't think they're really good. The Panthers stink. NFC West.
The Cardinals. Kidding. Niners.
Okay. AFC East.
Man. Dolphins. Dolphins get it done this time.
Okay. I put the Buffalo Bills. AFC North.
Bengals.
Yep, I'm with you too. AFC South.
Texans.
I'm going Jaguars.
Yeah, good luck with Trevor Lawrence.
Hey, 2 years ago, or last year, everyone said that team was ready to go contend for a Super Bowl.
I'm going to say the Colts. I'm going to say the Colts finish second, Jags third.
Oh, that's fair. I can't crush you for that. It's like the AFC East. You could tell me out of those 3 teams, anyone could win that division. I still think Texans make the playoffs. And who wins the AFC West? Kansas City, right? You're normal?
Correct.
Okay, just making sure. All right, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. When we come on back, we will preview the Cowboys season. Dak Prescott doesn't have a new deal. 1 year left. CeeDee Lamb looking for a new deal. Hasn't got it yet. Micah Parsons looking for a new deal. Hasn't got it yet. And oh yeah, the big fella, Mike McCarthy, is on the final year of his deal. A lot of guys wondering about their future. Is that going to impact the Cowboys season? We'll chat it up with Drew Pearson, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, previewing the Cowboys when we're back in 5 minutes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, rocking and rolling. It is the Infinity Sports Network, and it is the Zach Gelb Show. We've been previewing all 32 teams around the National Football League. We'll get to the Dallas Cowboys in just a bit when the original 88, Drew Pearson, is going to stop by. If you've not heard, the Cowboys obviously have been in the news a lot lately, and it's because of moves that they have not made yet. Dak Prescott looking for a new deal, hasn't got it yet. Same could be said with CeeDee Lamb and also Micah Parsons. And the coach also enters this season on the final year of his deal in Mike McCarthy. The Cowboys have made the playoffs the last 3 years. They've won 12 games the last 3 years. But then come postseason time, they've still not found themselves in an NFC championship game, which they have not done since the 1995 season. So let's preview the Cowboys right now.
Football season is right around the corner.
Holding himself, runs to the left, he's to the 5, Lamar's in, touchdown Ravens. They're going to have a championship game in Baltimore because the hay's in the barn.
Will it be your team's year to hoist the Lombardi?
In the shotgun, Mahomes. He runs and he throws, caught, touchdown. It's caught. Hardman caught the ball. The Chiefs have won. The Chiefs have won. The entire bench empties. Chasing Mahomes in the end zone. Their third Super Bowl in 5 years.
We preview all 32 teams right here on the Zach Gelb Show. The Dallas Cowboys.
Alrighty, how about them Cowboys? How about the original 88? We welcome in the Pro Football Hall of Famer. Always enjoy our conversations with him as we preview Dallas's upcoming season. And that, of course, is Drew Pearson. Drew, appreciate it. How you been, my man?
I've been blessed. I just came from Canton, Ohio for the enshrinement and hanging around all those Hall of Famers. 103 guys came back this year for the Hall enshrinement. That's the most ever. So it was a great weekend, and congratulations to the new class of Hall of Famers. Welcome.
And I know Michael Jordan was there. He's very close with Dwight Freeney.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to meet Michael Jordan? Just wondering.
No, I didn't. But I wish I had. I didn't know he was there until later. But I wish I had. I would have been one of those kids, like a kid, that were, while we were there, all the kids were coming up to us asking for autographs. Well, I would have been one of those kids trying to get a picture with Michael Jordan, that's for sure.
Now, we know
Amen.
you're football royalty. We know you're the original number 88. When was the last time you were starstruck when you met someone? Just wondering.
Oh, man. How about Joe Thiesman a couple weeks ago in South River, New Jersey? We're from the same hometown, and we named a street after him, Joe Thiesman Way. Of course, already had mine, Drew Pearson Hall of Fame Way. So we had, but Joey's a great guy, and in doing that, I became aware of his stats. I mean, his stats are pretty good. He should be in consideration for the Hall of Fame. But other than that, I can't think of anybody. Maybe Roger Staubach when I see him, or some of the guys. On the way home on the flight was Mike Singletary, Cliff Harris, DeMarcus Ware, and Drew Pearson. So if the plane went down, it'd be all those guys, and I'd be one of the others and others. But it was a great weekend. It was a great weekend, Zach, and seeing all the guys and the camaraderie. The best part of the Hall of Fame weekend is the Ray Nitschke luncheon, because that's just Hall of Famers in there. We get to talk about our experiences, what we think about the Hall, what the Hall needs to improve on. We honor the ones that aren't there, like this year, Franco Harris and Jim Brown. Oh, man, heartbreaking. But it's just a great weekend, and the Hall does a great job of honoring us all and making us all feel special.
Yeah, well, thankfully we didn't have to read that headline, and if we did, I think, I'm just going to go on a limb here, that you would have been included in that. Drew Pearson.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know.
Here with us, the Pro Football Hall of Famer. All righty, let me start out with the Cowboys. I guess a deal could still get done with Dak Prescott before the season does start. Maybe it even happens in season, but do you feel like that there's a chance, or maybe even a good chance, that this is the final year of Dak Prescott in the Cowboys uniform?
I really don't see it. I don't know what direction, because, what's Trey Lance, the backup, right? That's, I don't know how he's been looking in practice. Yeah, Cooper Rush, he did a nice job, stepping in for Dak anytime he had to. But I don't know how they feel about their backup quarterback situation. They haven't said anything about that competition, coming out of camp. There hadn't been any newspaper articles or anything in that regard. So I'm thinking the Cowboys are thinking that they're going to get this deal done. I know Jerry Jones likes Dak Prescott. I don't think he could find a better leader of the Cowboy football team that deal with all this outside things that come with being quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys than Dak Prescott. But Jerry's got to step up and sign these guys. And he's got to sign some people around him like CeeDee Lamb. Last year he let Amari Cooper go. Cedric Wilson went to Miami. Cooper had a nice year up there in Cleveland. The Schultz, the tight end, he let him go to Miami. To the Texans. And then, Pollard's gone already. Dan Quinn takes the center away to the Commanders. I did that on purpose. But, so I don't know. Jerry's got to step up and take care of these, because the message he's sending to these players by not signing and taking care of Parsons, not signing and taking care of a CeeDee Lamb, not signing and taking care of Dak Prescott, is what is the motivation for the other guys to play hard to one day get to that level? There is no motivation, because once they get there, they're going to have to fight and maybe end up playing for somebody else. So anyway, he's got to take care of this business. I was up in training camp a couple of weeks ago doing some promotions, and it's almost like Club Med up there. I'm just, I almost feel like I could have suited up and made it through a practice session, at least a warm-up drill anyway. But, with today's training camp, it's not the same, Zach.
Far from the days of two-a-days, right?
Yeah, two-a-days, full equipment, that type of thing. And now it's practicing with shorts, your hats, baseball hats turned on backwards and stuff like that, running through plays. So, but anyway, seriously speaking, they got to take care of that business, and they got to cover up CeeDee Lamb. Why not? Everybody else is taking care of their top receivers in the league. We got to do it. But if you want to have Dak to have success, you got to have people around him.
Talking to Drew Pearson right now, the Pro Football Hall of Famer. How did you react when the Cowboys, I know it wasn't a very active offseason for them, but they did bring back Ezekiel Elliott. You happy with that one?
It's okay. Zeke, I guess he'll be serviceable. He should know the system. That should be a plus coming in. But what does he have left? We have to find that out. I guess we'll see that as the season approaches. But I don't know. I just don't see the weapons there. I don't, losing some strength in the offensive line. Some players that they brought in will have to step up. Some players that they drafted, will have to step up and fill some roles and be key players in this system. The problem is the rest of the NFC got better. Mm-hmm. Okay. Philadelphia got better. They weren't that bad anyway. The Commodores, the Commanders, they got better simply by having Dan Quinn there. They got better. And then, of course, the Giants. I expect Jones, their quarterback, to be better this season as he continues to develop. So they got to compete in a tough division. And, Dak's going to have all his weapons, and the defense is going to have to be on par. The blessing to losing Dan Quinn was we got Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator. And he's a good one. So I don't think we'll lose anything there. But offenses is what I'm concerned about. The weapons, the people around Dak to let Dak be successful.
But you bring up a good point. The NFC got better. The Cowboys didn't get better. And you have three players looking to get paid that haven't been paid yet, and Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, and like we talked about, Dak Prescott. And by the way, the coach is on the final year of his deal too, and he is going to be a lame duck coach going into the season. Too many distractions, it seems like to me. Is that going to impact when the Cowboys actually step foot in the field with all these distractions?
Yeah, I hope not. I hope not. I hope they're able to put that behind them and stay focused. The players shouldn't worry about that stuff. Do your job. Let him do his job. Mr. Jones, he's a Hall of Famer. He knows what he's doing. If he's got a plan, let him execute that plan. But you players, I never worried what Gil Brandt was doing or Tex Graham was doing. I was worried about my job, so I have a job to ask for more money or whatever when I needed to do that. So the players shouldn't worry about it. They just do their job and play with whoever's around them, who's next to them, and that type of thing. But let Mr. Jones and the organization handle all that stuff. And he's got a lot on his plate to handle. and hopefully he can, come up with the money or whatever it needs to satisfy all this, so that we're not going into the season. Pretty soon we got a playoff, a preseason game. August 11th. Here we go. So there ain't no looking back from there. So we don't want this distraction going into the season or even close to this going into the season. So, we need to put this behind us.
The thing, Drew Pearson, that I keep on envisioning, and hey, the Cowboys could make the playoffs this year, and that still may not be enough for Mike McCarthy to keep his job, is Bill Belichick coaching this team next year. How would you react to that one if that's what Jerry does at the end of the season?
I don't know. This job might be too pressure packed for Bill Belichick. Bill likes to be up there in New England, that part of the East Coast, and not much media attention. He's won all these Super Bowls, and he's still not getting much media attention like he really should be. But there's no question about his coaching ability. That's the thing. You don't want that hanging over your head going into the season. What if the players really rather have Bill Belichick than Mike McCarthy? So they're going to drop a pass on purpose or something that makes that happen? I don't know. You don't even want to go there, okay, with that kind of stuff. But I tell you what I would be doing if I was Mike McCarthy and Mr. Jones. I'd be calling Mr. Belichick and asking him for some input on what we need to do to get over the hump, what he sees that we're missing, and maybe come on as a consultant in that regard, because another brain, another mind, another football genius like that in your organization offering input, you can't go wrong. So I don't know if he's reached out to him, but that's what I would do in support of Mike McCarthy. Now, that might create some more pressure for Mike McCarthy and, some rumbling going on.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm good with that if I'm Mike, honestly.
Yeah, the media might probably go to say no to that. Okay, maybe we'll just nix that. But that's hypothetical.
Do you think Bill?
Sure.
Do you think Bill and Jerry Jones could coexist and work together? Since you know Jerry very well.
Yeah, because he did that with Bill Parcells. When Bill Parcells came in, he lightened up. He backed off. He didn't enter the locker room until Bill Parcells was ready for him to come in.
Yeah.
And Bill Parcells made that clear, when he took that job, that he was going to be in charge of that football team and have that final decision as far as that football team is concerned. So Belichick's not going to come in here and be no puppet. Okay, he's going to have to cut. If he comes in here, he'll come in here to be the man. That's for sure.
Last thing I'll ask you, Drew Pearson. What do you expect out of this team this year? Because usually you're very optimistic, but you're also realistic. I sense like you're not really believing in this team this season.
Well, I think we got to get off to a good start. Let's see the schedule here. We got, Cleveland. We got to go there. I just left there. Those Browns fans are licking their chops for the Cowboys. They're talking about making it a homecoming game because the Cowboys are coming to town. But then the Saints, the Ravens, and the Giants in Pittsburgh and Detroit before we get a bye. That's a tough schedule. So let's just take one game at a time and see what we trot out there and see if it's enough to compete this year. 3 straight 12-win seasons. The problem is once we get to the playoffs, Too Tall Jones made a great point from what he sees. He played in some championship games and playoff games and Super Bowls and all that. He says what they lack in that locker room is that championship, that guy that's been there, okay? The guy that can tell these players what it takes, not just to get to the playoffs, but what to do now that we're in the playoffs and how to adjust and understand the importance of that. They have nobody in that locker room with that type of experience. When Jerry Jones had his success winning Super Bowls, Charles Haley, Deion Sanders, people like that in the locker room, people that had won Super Bowls that could tell these players, and police these players and make them do what's necessary so that you can compete. Going through the season is one thing, but going through the season is just preparing yourself for the playoffs. And that's what we have to do. For us to have San Francisco come in here 2 years ago and beat us, kick our butt, right off from the spot, from the start, the first quarter, punch us, and we took it, and then finally in the fourth quarter, we started playing. Then last season, here comes Green Bay with 8 losses. I'm thinking, man, we got this, Jordan Love at quarterback and all this, And, they punched us in the face. They took the blueprint from San Francisco and used that against us. And we took it, and we didn't fire back until it was too late. So hopefully this year we can get in that position. If we get in that position, we'll be ready. But I do think we need that presence. How do we find that now? I don't know, because none of the guys in that locker room right now bring that.
Yeah, a little bit too late if you ask me. He is Drew Pearson, the original number 88. Drew, appreciate it.
You're
Hope
right.
you had a blasting cannon. Thanks so much.
All right, you got it, buddy. Anytime.
There you go. Drew Pearson joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will react to some of that when we return. Also, when we come on back, there's a new report out there about Brandon Ayuk. What is the latest with him? Could he be on the move? Could we actually see a player-for-player swap in the NFL? We'll get to all that when we return. Update time here is El Capitan, Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, Zach, some joint practices have begun around the NFL. That included the Giants and the Lions. Tempers flared a little bit. Newly acquired Giants pass rusher Brian Burns, not surprised his teams finally get a chance to hit somebody else.
That's just camp. That's just a hot day, Tempers start to flare when it's hot. You're tired and you got people hitting you, so this is what happens.
Now, elsewhere, Chiefs and kicker Harrison Butker reportedly agreeing on a 4-year extension, $25.6 million, just under $18 million in guaranteed money. Titans have agreed to terms with veteran safety Quandre Diggs, 1-year deal worth up to $5 million. Rams wideout Puka Nacua being called week to week, suffered a knee injury in a joint practice against the Chargers. Simone Biles is added to her medal count, brought home the silver in the floor exercise. 4th medal of these Olympics, 11th overall in what could be her final. 27-year-old, though, not ready to shut the door completely on trying for 2028 in L.A.
Never say never. The home games is the next Olympics is at home, so you just never know. But I am getting really old.
Courtesy of NBC, and plenty of baseball action later today. It begins with the Mets and Cardinals next hour. It's a makeup from early May. White Sox will try to finally snap a 20-game skid against the A's, and the night ends. Possible NLCS preview with the Dodgers and Phillies. I'm Marco Belletti.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
There we go. How about that? Pat Boyle on the ones and twos. Redeemed himself. All the sexual jokes he's been making. Dirty mind that Pat Boyle has. Think of the word imbecile is said and pronounced as imbecile. But now this song, by the way, this is like my childhood. I can't, whenever there was like a late night show growing up as a kid that would always be on, it would be the George Lopez show. So like if a younger Zach Gelb, who had a TV in his room, was like up late and just couldn't go to sleep, always the George Lopez show. It would just be on repeat over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, all throughout the night.
This song would jar me awake at times. 3 a.m.
You already be asleep for 2 hours. You hear it, and then it's up. I gotta watch the George Lopez show.
Yeah, I see George and his what looked like a toupee flopping up and down, jumping off those trampolines. Great intro. And I don't think I ever watched like fully awake more than 2 minutes of that actual show.
Oh, really? You weren't a fan?
I used to I believe Full House would be on before that.
Everywhere.
So I was like 11 or 12 years old. I watched Full House until sometimes fall asleep with the TV on, and then 3 a.m. I hear the pop, 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 pop. And I'm like, what time? That's how I knew it was the middle of the night and that it was time to turn the TV off and go back to bed.
Favorite show growing up as a kid was what?
SpongeBob.
Okay.
Well, what age group are we talking about?
I wasn't expecting when you were like 8.
Are you ready? From 8 to 10, I would say SpongeBob. From 10 until 14,
okay.
Drake and Josh.
Drake and Josh was a good show.
Undisputed #1 for me.
Okay. Stu? Your favorite show?
Yeah, early on it was Rugrats. That morphed into SpongeBob, and that morphed into like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is a great one. I loved Hey Arnold. I love.
It's also great.
Stu Kid, Fred, leave Stu. Stu, Kid Freddy. Stu. That was great. Cat Dog was good. I'm trying to think what else. Fairly Odd Parents I liked as a kid. And
Jimmy Neutron was like one of the tertiary, not up there with the greats, but
my second cousin wrote for that show. That and Boy Meets. I've said the Boy Meets World part before, but he wrote for Jimmy Neutron a few episodes.
Wow.
And
did he come up with the brain blast?
That I do not know. I don't know all the history of it. I just know that he wrote a few episodes for that show. So those are some of the shows that I really like. There's someone in their car right now saying, "How young are these whippersnappers on the radio right now?" Because we are mentioning some young shows. What was that other? Rocco's
Modern Life. That's going back a bit.
That was cool. That was cool. Favorite Disney movie?
Oh,
I feel like you're a big Disney guy.
No.
No? Stu?
Lion King for me.
Okay. Boiled?
I don't know which movies are Disney and which aren't.
So just give me one that you think is Disney.
I don't know.
Mulan is Disney, right?
So you don't even know.
I think so. I'm pretty sure it is.
I'm pretty sure it is. Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. Very good movie that I did enjoy.
Wait, hold on. I got one for you.
Okay. Are you about to play something?
Maybe no, I don't. I'm looking up Disney movies because I don't want to say one off the top of my head that's not.
Mm-hmm.
And first thing that came up is like Disney Plus, and that's I'm going down the wrong hole here.
Okay. So you don't have a Disney movie?
I'll give you Monsters Inc.
Oh, with wait,
Mike Zazowski, and
yeah.
Sully,
and not the Sully we know, different Sully.
Who's the Sully we know?
Oh, sorry, Stu and I know a Sully. You don't know said Sully. He's a friend of Pearl.
Yeah, friend of the show.
Yeah, the guy that always calls in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great dude. He's more than just the guy that calls in. You would enjoy hanging out with Sully. Definitely.
I think I saw a picture of you guys in Vegas, right?
Yeah, many pictures.
He looks like a great time.
Sully is a fun dude. Anywho, let me get to Brandon Ayuk and the latest with the, I don't want to call him the troubled wide receiver of the San Francisco 49ers, but he's upset that he doesn't have a new contract. And he wants a new deal. He wants to get paid. All these wide receivers getting paid. He just had a 1,400-yard season. He's like, okay, it's my time to cash in. So remember, we played that dopey commentary last week of... It was actually of my college radio partner who now covers the 49ers, and he was analyzing the handshake and the dap-up of Brandon Ayuk and John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. And I said, that is some of the worst training camp coverage I've ever heard, where we're analyzing a handshake, and does this mean that a Brandon Ayuk deal is in the near future? So this is Matt Maiocco, credible 49ers reporter. Why would the 49ers be willing to move wide receiver Brandon Ayuk if, like most NFL trades, they receive only draft picks in return? It's a great question that Maiocco brings up. This is a team that's ready to win now. And I'm not saying it's not important to also build for your future while you're trying to win now, but the number one priority for the San Francisco 49ers should be trying to win a Super Bowl now. Because you don't know how much longer that window's open. You know, Trent Williams doesn't get any younger. McCaffrey was able to be healthy last year. Debo, there's a lot of wear and tear in that body, and Brock Purdy has been good for them. And defensively, you're loaded with defensive players that are good. But windows close very quickly in the NFL. And if you get rid of Ayuk, and let's say you only get a second-round pick back, what are the odds that that second-round pick ends up being better than Brandon Ayuk? Not good. So Maiocco says the answer is they probably would not. After all, San Francisco is built to win now, and there's no reason for them to be interested in anything that weakens the team for this upcoming season. But what if they could acquire a proven wide receiver in addition to future draft picks? So, Maiocco points out that the Browns, here we go, Brownies, here we go, hoo, hoo, and the New England Patriots are the most likely trade partners, according to a report Sunday from Cam Marino of NFL Draft Buzz. So, Mary Kay Cabot, longtime Cleveland Browns reporter for Cleveland.com. The Browns could afford to pay Ayuk if wide receiver Amari Cooper were dealt to San Francisco in a trade, wrote longtime beat reporter Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com. That would be a fascinating deal. Because Amari Cooper is one of the more underappreciated wide receivers in the game. All he does is produce 1,000-yard seasons from team to team to team that he's been through in his career. And he is getting a little bit up there in age. Amari Cooper, if I had to guess right now, what would you think? A 31 for Amari Cooper? Or is that too old? No, he's 30 years old. Yeah, 30 years old, turns 31, or just turned 30 in June. So I look at Amari Cooper. If the Browns want to get younger and the 49ers are in the win now mode, Amari Cooper's still a pretty damn good wide receiver, and he is a free agent at the end of this year. So you're in the same place where you are right now with Brandon Ayuk, where if you don't think a deal's going to get done, you could trade him and get a draft pick back, and you get Amari Cooper. Now, here was the other deal that was suggested and thrown out there that Matt Mayoka did explore. It is actually with former 49er Kendrick Bourne, who's now with the Patriots. And let me tell you this, as a Patriot fan, and I like Kendrick Bourne. We had a very good conversation at the Super Bowl. He is one of the better guests in the NFL. I'm blown away by how good he was on the air. He gave an opinion, didn't shy away from anything. I put him in some uncomfortable situations, talking about my disdain for Matt Patricia, that I think he shared the same belief that I had when it came to Matt Patricia. I just wasn't afraid to say it because that's just the way that I felt. But if you could tell me that the Patriots, I don't know, attached the second-round pick and Kendrick Bourne to go get Brandon Ayuk, hello, the Patriots need a number one wide receiver. And there's a question on if Brandon Ayuk could be a number one wide receiver. I don't see why not. Sure, I understand that he has a lot around him in San Francisco. So when you have Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and Kittle, that opens you up to get better matchups. But do I think Brandon Ayuk could be a number one wide receiver in this league? Absolutely. And I would have no problem giving Brandon Ayuk the bag, as the kids would say, and trading for him to go help out a young quarterback in Drake May, because that's the biggest thing. If you're a young quarterback in this league, we saw what happened when Jalen Hurts got his wide receivers. We saw what happened when Josh Allen got his wide receiver. You see what happens when you have a young quarterback that gets a really damn good wide receiver. They then take off. And I don't want the Patriots to mess up Drake May like they messed up Mac Jones. And here's the other thing. Does it have to be a wide receiver? That's what I'll just ask. Right now, Matthew Judon is disgruntled. The Patriots have paid like everyone on their team from last year. Besides Matthew Judon, does the rich get rich on the defensive side of the ball? Maybe the 49ers, they trade Ayuk to the Pats, and then Judon goes to the 49ers, but I don't know what the money is going to be and what the numbers required, because if they're not paying Ayuk right now, do they give more money out to Matthew Judon? That I do not know. But I thought that was interesting that they're now playing into this and that this was discussed. If I'm the Niners, though, the Cooper one, the Amari Cooper one makes sense. The Patriot one, if you get Judon, potentially. Kendrick Bourne, I think that's a preference, but I would say no. I'm not trading Ayuk. I would get uncomfortable for this year because the goal is to win a Super Bowl this year. And you're all in. You're not Cowboys all in. You're 49ers all in. And you don't get rid of Brandon Ayuk unless there is a player of significance coming back your way. So good article there by Matt Mayoka. We're coming on back. We're talking college football with Barrett Sallee next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We miss college football.
Milrose stands in. He throws into the end zone.
He caught it.
It's caught by Isaiah Bond in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama.
We can't wait for the 2024 season.
Hands it off to Edwards, who bounces it outside. Donovan 40, Donovan 30. Donovan Edwards is in the clear. His second touchdown run of the ball game. This time from 46 yards. And Michigan has taken a 13-3 lead on the second touchdown of the night from the man who was not tripping.
And we're counting down the days to kick off.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
I said no.
Are we there yet?
What's wrong with your ears? Here is your college football fix, only on the Zach Gelb Show.
Well, it's August. That means college football is right around the corner at the end of the month. Barrett Sallee is one of the best covering college football. He's the host of College Football Smothered and Covered. You can also hear him on SiriusXM. In addition to read him at OutKick. Always appreciate Barrett Sallee when he joins us for a few moments. Barrett, how you been, my friend?
Oh, man, I'm good, Zach. Just before we get into college football, just watching the Braves just aspire in mediocrity, man. But hey, you know what? The Phillies are worse, so there's always that.
Yeah, you were very optimistic heading into this season. You brought me on one of your podcasts to talk about the Mets and the Braves, and I told you the Mets weren't going to be that good. The Mets looked like they were going to suck early on in the season. Then they've turned around before losing 2 out of 3 to the Angels. So I would say I feel bad for you, but quite frankly,
Nobody feels
I
bad
don't.
for Braves fans at this point.
But you've been really down and out on this team just following you on social media.
It's kind of hard to get excited about a team that can't hit the ball and lost their two best players. I'm just saying.
No.
Kind of hard.
Definitely fair. Anywho, let me ask you about this Michigan stuff yesterday. Nothing really new to me came out of this. Okay, they confirmed that it was Connor Stallions on the sideline, and Sharon Moore deleted a bunch of text messages, and it seems like it wasn't necessarily what was in those text messages that annoyed the NCAA. It was just the fact that he deleted the text messages.
Yeah, cover-up's worse than the crime, right? I mean, it's like that basically in every walk of life. If you commit a cover-up or you try to hide something, then it looks like you're guilty of more. And that's all there is to it. I think that the thought process of Sharon Moore is what should really be concerning, is that you have a guy who, you're under investigation and you delete text messages the day of. That's it's not WhatsApp, right? Like, you're not talking about encrypted cables going from the CIA to the DEI. I mean, it's like one of those things where, okay, you should know better. And I think beyond that, not much is going to come of this. I do love the fact that they confirmed that it was Connor Stallions on the Central Michigan sideline. That just, to me, is just phenomenal content. But I mean, more than anything else, the documentary's coming out. That's why there's a draft leaked to ESPN, because Michigan wants to get out ahead of all this stuff and not let people be surprised when they watch that documentary on Netflix. So I think that's all there is to it. They're not going to take away Michigan's national title. Sharon Moore might be suspended, but I think they'll be able to handle it. So I'm not saying it's much ado about nothing, because I think it brought us all back to that glorious time in November when we were all on Connor Stallions watch. But I think the most important things are that Sharon Moore showed a lack of judgment in terms of deleting text. People are going to find out about that. It makes you look guilty. And the fact that Connor Stallions was on the Central Michigan sideline is just tremendous content. And I'm fascinated to know where it goes from here, because now Central Michigan has a lot to answer to, and they haven't answered to it yet.
Well, this is such a thorough investigation, right? And they had to leak the draft. How the heck don't they know? Like, you've gotten credentials. I've gotten credentials. We've gotten credentials in the press box. You need a different pass to get on the sideline.
Yes, you do.
Like, they don't know, though, how he got on the sideline. To me, that's one thing I'm not buying from this.
Yeah, right. Like, if you have a sideline pass, you're important, and you've been vetted and you've been checked. We're not important, Zach. We can sit in the press box. We can maybe get on the field for the final 5 minutes, depending on what the rules are for the media at any given stadium. To have a sideline pass during a game, you're going to have to get that from people who matter at Central Michigan. I don't know what their reasoning is, but I'd love to hear it.
Barrett Sallee here with us. So you said something that I'm happy to hear, but I would never put it past the NCAA. You don't think Michigan's national championship is going to be vacated? Why is that, especially with you knowing how petty the NCAA likes to get?
They're not going to vacate national championships anymore. They're just not. I think vacating games is different than vacating a national championship. I think in this era, people still saw Louisville win a national championship. People still saw USC win a national championship. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about vacated wins. Nobody cares about vacated national championships. I think for Michigan, and really the NCAA has done this for a long time, they want to punish the individual, not the school. Mm-hmm. And I think that in this case, obviously the school did get punished because they didn't have their coach for the final 3 games. The first 3 games were a separate deal, but they've already punished the main individual. And if they're going after Sharon Moore now, you're going to have airtight evidence that he was directly involved with this. There's not airtight evidence that Jim Harbaugh was directly involved in this, even though we all know that he was. So you're going to continue to do it with the new guy? To me, I think, they're going to do it, but they're not going to come down as hard as they did on Jim. And for Michigan, the program, I think when they got punished before with the other investigation into COVID practices, they came down hard enough on the school then where they don't have to, and they can justify not punishing them again and doubling up and basically tearing the entire Michigan program down with recruiting problems and recruiting violations like we saw with USC. That's just not going to happen.
Talking to Barrett Sallee, so I saw the coaches poll came out today. Just inside the Big Ten, you had Ohio State second, you had Oregon third, Michigan was eighth, and then Penn State was ninth. Do you think that order inside the Big Ten is right? Ohio State 1, Oregon 2, and then Michigan 3 and Penn State 4 just for Big Ten teams?
Yes, I think right now that's where it should be. And I think at the end of the season, that's where it will be. I think those 4 teams are significantly ahead of whoever you want to put below them, whether it be USC or Iowa, both of which are in the top 25 in the back end, or anybody else. I think the gap between the top 6 or so, and then down to Michigan and Penn State is pretty significant now because of Michigan's roster attrition. I think in the end, could Michigan join that top group? Yeah, but we're talking about a poll. We're not talking about a predicted order of finish, because those are 2 different conversations. So to have Michigan and Penn State kind of grouped together, totally get it. Definitely Ohio State ahead of Oregon, because I'm not the biggest Dylan Gabriel guy yet. I think that he's can win you a ton of games, but they don't have nearly as many weapons as Ohio State has. Now, I'm not the biggest Will Howard guy either, so that kind of, I wouldn't say cancels it out, but no matter who the quarterback is, if you got 2 stud running backs and you got Emeka Egbuka, I mean, you're going to do just fine no matter who you are. But I think for Dylan Gabriel, stay healthy. Can he be a difference maker? I don't know if I see it yet. So, yeah, Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, and Penn State in that order in the top 25. That's exactly how I would have it. In fact, if you look behind me, if you're watching, but you can probably hear it, I did our helmet schedules today for the Big Ten, and that's exactly what my top 4 were.
Is Carson Beck to you the best quarterback in the country entering this season, Barrett Sallee?
Right now, I would say it's Quinn Ewers. But if you ask me at the end of the segment, then I'd probably say Carson Beck. I've gone back and forth on this multiple times. I love Carson. I think that he is way better than people realize. The velocity he has, the deep ball that he throws, the touch he has coming off of that fastball is just remarkable. But Quinn Ewers is just a little bit more dynamic, and more experienced to an extent. But I think he's proven over the last couple of seasons that he has that moxie. Carson only did it for 1 year. And I know we're basically comparing $50 steaks or ice cream flavors, right? You're not going to be wrong with whatever you choose. But to me, Quinn has done it longer and done it better because he made the playoff last year. So I'll take Quinn for now. But when we hang up the Skype, when we hit the end, I might have changed my mind.
So you think they're interchangeable 1 and 2? Then who's the next best quarterback in the country?
I've gone so all over the place with this because I think the easy thing would be to say Dylan Gabriel. And it still might be the right thing to say. I just think there's a massive step back. Just a massive step back to Dylan Gabriel. I would say that you could make an argument that it should be Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. If I had to choose right now, I would say, yeah, it's Jackson Dart. I think that right now with what he's been able to do, he's been the focus of a running game. I think people will forget last year, Quinshon Judkins wasn't very good beginning of the season, especially. Jackson Dart shouldered that load. He made Trey Walker a superstar at wide receiver, or not made, but he brought him along quickly, and he's got the arm strength. He can, put touch on the ball on out routes, on over the middle. He can use his changeup. He's got all that stuff. He's got the entire arsenal. So I would say probably Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. And there are going to be quite a few that jump up into that mix after the season starts, because there are difference makers out there, whether it be Garrett Nussmeier or Connor Wegman at Texas A&M. There are some dudes waiting in the wings to become stars.
Where's your confidence that Georgia, I know they didn't make the playoff last year, down to 12 team, we know they're going to make the playoff, but that they win it all again? Because I heard what you said with comparing Beck to Ewers. What's the separation for you, Georgia to Texas, inside the SEC now?
It's a lot closer than it is from Texas to whoever you want to put at number 3. I think with Texas, the biggest issue is at wide receiver. Do you have somebody that can be a pure number 1? I think a lot of people are saying Isaiah Bond. I would be a little bit hesitant to say he can be a true number 1, and they don't have any returning starter experience outside of Isaiah Bond. So because of that, I would probably give Georgia a little bit of an edge, but a lot can be fixed with a stud offensive line. Texas is better than Georgia's. Georgia's is good. Georgia's is great. Texas is awesome. So that's a big reason why I think it's those two and then a pretty significant step back.
Regardless if it was a 4 or 12-team format this year, right? Georgia walks in with national championship expectations. Same with Texas. Same with Ohio State as well. So factoring in expanding from 4, who's the coach, in your opinion, this year to just make the playoffs that has the most pressure on them? Because going to 12, I think it's fascinating. You miss it a 14 playoff, all right, you get crushed, but you're not going to lose your job. You now miss it a 12-team format. There could be some coaches that could be sent packing at the end of the year.
Well, I would say Ryan Day, but his situation's so unique. The biggest one is James Franklin's time to shine at Penn State, and if he doesn't, oh, buddy, this whole thing is made for Penn State to sneak in almost every single season.
Yep.
And James has had plenty of chances. Plenty of chances where he's on that 7, 8, 9, 10 final ranking. That should be good enough to get in. And he's hitched his wagon to Drew Aller. He's got a great running game, running back duo, which you have to have in this day and age. And so I think if Penn State doesn't make it, there are going to be calls for James Franklin because they're sick of this. They're sick of being on the outside looking in. And if they can't break through that glass ceiling when 8 new teams can,
indefensible,
then something's wrong. It shouldn't happen. It would be an indictment of him as a coach, not Penn State and Penn State as the program, but they've still got players. They've still got players who have run through there that are superstars. And if James Franklin can't do it with this crew, even though I'm not the biggest Drew Aller guy, then I think maybe the narrative and the identity of Franklin is that he's all sizzle and no steak, no matter how big the college football playoff is.
Yeah, and you look at guys that are now first time at their university at the head coaching position full time. Like if Sharon Moore doesn't get in, Michigan fans will be upset. Alabama, right? I don't think there's national championship expectations, but as much as I love Kalen DeBoer, you better get in from a 12-team format. But I'm fascinated because my answer would have been Barrett Sallee. It would have been James Franklin at Penn State. I'm curious, Notre Dame and LSU this year with Marcus Freeman and Brian Kelly, if they'll be in the 12-team format.
I think Notre Dame is, I wouldn't say a shoe-in, but
it's designed for them to get in.
It is. The whole thing is like Penn State's, it's designed for them to get in, but it's designed for Notre Dame to get in too. And they're getting Texas A&M in week 1 when Texas A&M is full of questions. So I think Notre Dame is in a good spot. If Riley Leonard is close to what he was when he was 100%, then I think they'll be fine. You know what they can do in the trenches. They're tough. They're physical. That's their identity. And the schedule sets up really, really, really well, especially since USC is a disaster right now. With LSU, I think people are sleeping on LSU for a couple reasons. One, making a run to the playoff is easier for them than I think virtually any other SEC school because the schedule is so easy. By SEC standards, LSU is right up there with the easiest schedule in the country. Yeah, they play 2 Power 5 teams in USC and UCLA, but I don't think people respect UCLA at all, and I personally don't respect USC either. And then I think defensively, all they got to do is be mediocre. They just can't be god-awful like they were last year. Just be mediocre, and they can. They got Blake Baker running that defense. He's a fantastic defensive coordinator, and they still have weapons. They still have running backs. They've still got Kyron Lacey to step in for Malik Neighbors. They've got a great offensive line. They've actually have 6 returning starters on the offensive line, and you can only play 5. Like that's how deep they are up front. So I think people are sleeping on LSU a little bit, and I think it's set up for them in Brian Kelly to make a run because we know Brian Kelly is going to be competitive in anything that he does. He's always got that team competitive, no matter whether it's LSU or Notre Dame when he was there, except in 2016. So I think people are sleeping on LSU for sure.
Yeah, and year threes are usually very kind to Brian Kelly. Last thing I'll ask
Yes,
you,
they
when
are.
we just look at this 12-team format, so 5 conference champs get in, and then there's 7 spots up for grab. We both talked about it. Notre Dame probably in most years will get in. For those other 6 spots, in most years, it's probably going to be, 3 more Big Ten schools, 3 more SEC schools? Like, do you see a second ACC or a second Big 12 team getting in potentially this year?
Yeah, I think you can see 2 of both, actually.
Wow.
With Utah and Oklahoma State in the Big 12. The Big 12 is going to be fascinating. I mean, there's like 6 or 7 teams that can win on any given day. So, I think Oklahoma State and Utah probably do get in. And then Clemson, Florida State, if you're a Miami guy, Miami could get in. Do not sleep on Virginia Tech at all. The schedule is super easy, and they've got a great quarterback in Kyron Drones and a ton of returning talent offensively. Because if you're a 10-2 ACC team or a 10-2 Big 12 team, you're still probably getting in over the 4th best SEC or Big 10 team. I think that's, it's a narrative that exists. I get it. But you look back historically, I think only once in the last 5 years, 4 SEC teams would have actually gotten in based on the final college football playoff rankings. And a lot of that too, Zach, depends on the group of 5. Yes, they get 1 in, but what if there are 2 undefeated group of 5 teams? One of them has to have an at-large bid, and that team might still be pretty good, depending on who it is or who they played or whatever. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that you get 4 each from the SEC and the Big Ten. Actually, I'd be surprised most years, as long as this format stays the same, which ask me in a couple of years, it might that only might have a 2-year shelf life, right? That has a 2-year shelf life. But in this format, I would say actually you get more times than not, you don't get 4 from the 2 big conferences.
Hey, I just I see on Twitter, and then we'll let you run. It says on your Twitter, could Colorado fire Deion Sanders early in the 2024 season? What's the background on this?
So that story from Athlon that was published, I guess it was Friday, about how the culture of there's fighting, there's problems, there's just all kinds of crap that ongoing inside the locker room. That's the kind of stuff that can get you fired. I don't think on the field it has really anything to do with Deion. They're going to be better than last year. They still might be 4-8, but they can be better than last year. But if the culture is anywhere close to what that Athlon story suggested from, I guess, as last Friday, it was August 2nd, then that's the kind of thing that can make decisions very easy for athletic directors and administrators. So that was the genesis of that. And part of that is also because Deion was on an odds list of coaches who would be the first to be fired in college football this year. I think he was 50-1. So I was sitting there, I was like, okay, 50-1, there's some value there if the culture is anywhere close to as bad as that story sort of claims and reflects.
He is Barrett Sallee, the host of College Football Smothered and Covered. You could also listen to him Sirius XM and read him at OutKick. Barrett, appreciate it as always. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Go Braves.
You always have to get that in. Jeez, get this guy off the show. Take him off the board. Go Braves. Ugh. Jeez. All righty. Let's just take a timeout. We'll react to the college football coaches poll that's out when we come on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Is the Infinity Sports Network.
So, what I'm about to say is going to seem very disrespectful, but it's just the way that I go about it. Like, Boyle, when you're looking for NFL news, who are the insiders that when you see it, you never question if the information is false?
Schefter, Rappaport,
Pelissero.
That's,
Albert Breer, probably.
Yeah, but those guys, the big three.
Yeah, right? I think everyone would say Schefter, definitely Ian Rappaport, Pelissero, too. And maybe there's like a few other guys. Like if Peter King ever had anything, I know he's retired now, but if he ever had anything out there, you always do his well research. Oh, you know who as well? Let's not forget Jay Glazer. He doesn't have as much news as Schefter and as Rappaport. Like frequency-wise, those guys have the most news. But in terms of like, wow, explosive news, Glazer always gets like the out of nowhere explosive, crazy news. So the only reason I'm bringing up this report, and it has not been verified by any other insider reported anywhere else out there, but we were talking about Cam Marino earlier, and it was from this Matt Mayoko article where he pointed out that Cam is talking about how I think it was the Browns and the Patriots were potential destinations for Brandon Ayuk to get traded. Let me just pull up the exact part of it. Yeah, the Cleveland Browns and the Patriots are the most likely trade partners, according to a report Saturday from Cam Marino of NFL Draft Buzz. So what I'm about to say, I'm not saying it can't be true. But because, right, there's a lot of reporters that get things. Like, for example, I don't consider myself a reporter, but I've been told things before that I put out there that ended up, I knew they were true. But then they get verified by other people like, oh, that Gelb guy actually knows what he's talking about. That's what happens when you're not a Schefter. That's what happens when you're not a Pelissero. That's what happens when you're not a Glazer or a Rappaport. So I don't know if this is true. I'm not saying this is true. I'm just giving you what's out there from someone that we were just talking about 30 minutes ago. And our buddy Andrew Filipponi, who does a talk show in Pittsburgh, is even going with this as well. According to Cam Marino, and once again, I don't know if this is true, the Steelers and the 49ers have agreed to a trade that sends star wide receiver Brandon Ayuk to the Steelers. That's just what's out there. And it already has like 600,000 views. It was put out there actually an hour ago now at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. So until I see a Schefter report, until I see a Pelissero report it or a Rappaport report it, I'm not believing that this is true. I'm just putting what is out there and giving it to you. And I don't think it's out of the craziest realm of possibilities because of the fact, hey, I've even said it for a while that the Steelers should be all in. And Steelers fans weren't happy when I said that they should give up a first-round pick for Brandon Ayuk. But we don't know what the details of the deal would be. So I guess we need more information on out there. The only reason I recognize the name, it's almost like my phone's always listening. Because the only reason why I recognize the name was we were just talking about this guy's report in this Matt Mayoko article from NBC Sports Bay Area. So that's what Cam Marino is reporting. Is it true or not? We have no clue. But that's just what is out there. All righty. Anywho, the preseason coaches poll was released today. Iowa 25th, Kansas 24th. Their quarterback, Daniels, just has to stay healthy. USC 23rd, NC State 22nd, Arizona 21st, A&M with their new head football coach, Mike Elko, in at 20th. Miami 19, Oklahoma State 18, Kansas State 17, Oklahoma 16, Tennessee in at 15, Clemson with Dabo Swinney 14th, Kyle Whittingham and Cam Rising in at 13, Brian Kelly 12, Missouri 11th, Florida State now with DJ Uiagalelei in at number 10, Penn State 9, big year for James Franklin, Michigan 8, Notre Dame 7, Ole Miss 6, Alabama 5, Texas 4th, Oregon 3rd, Ohio State 2nd, and Georgia was in at 1. Teams that received first place votes. 46 went to Georgia. They were 1. Ohio State had 7, and Texas had 1. They were in at 4th. That's what I see that's registering here. So those are the top 25 for the preseason coaches poll. Boyle, I'll go to you first. Give me a team in the top 25 that you're fascinated by where they were ranked, or if you're going to see if they're going to live up to the hype at the end of the season and how we're going to be viewing and talking about that program.
It'll be the Notre Dame Fighting Irish there, Zach.
What a surprise.
Because they should have been ranked top 5. I'm surprised they got pushed.
Top 5? Notre Dame?
Yes.
Come on, Pat. Top 5? All right. They're not better than Georgia. You know that, right?
Correct.
They're not better than Ohio State. They're not better than Oregon. They're not better than Texas. You think Notre Dame...
Why aren't they better than Texas?
Texas just made the college football playoff last year.
Yeah, and their defense is horrible. Defense is horrendous.
Okay. And your quarterback is Riley Leonard from Duke.
Yeah, who's a stud.
Sam Hartman was supposed to be the greatest thing last year, too. I like Audric Estime. I like Hartman, too. But come on, Notre Dame is a very good team, but to say that they are elite 4 or 5, come on.
I don't care that Joe Alt is gone, because every year
they pump out a great offensive
find
line.
the next offensive tackle. Notre Dame finds the next tackle that's going to go top 10 overall in the first round. They would kick Texas's ass in the trenches right now if they played them week 1, and I can't wait to watch them.
You're wrong on that, but
I can't wait to watch them do that to A&M with the 12th man.
Oh, well, come on. A&M. The fact that I was surprised A&M was in the top 25. Elko coming in, first-year head coach, you better be able to beat A&M. But you would agree, you actually get jacked up every season thinking that Notre Dame's going to be great.
They are.
And you were the same bozo last year that, didn't you guarantee they were going to beat Ohio State?
I did, and they should have.
But they didn't. So I'm just saying, I think Notre Dame's a playoff team. If they don't make the playoffs in a 12-team format, that's a disgrace. But in at 7, I thought that was a little optimistic. So what do you think Notre Dame can accomplish this year is my question.
College football playoff. They will beat Texas A&M, and Notre Dame will be 11-1 at worst this year.
Okay. So that's as far as you're willing to go, is in the playoff.
It depends.
What's the apex for Notre Dame this season?
Well, because Notre Dame,
you assume they're going to be a top 5 team.
Yes, but Notre Dame with the rules of the 12-team college football playoff, the highest they can be ranked is 5, because they're not a Power 4 conference champion. So they would be 5, and then what would that means if they do get 5? That means they would play what seed?
Well, they would play 12, and in all likelihood, that would probably be like Liberty.
Correct. And then if they win that, they would play 4 in the quarterfinals. Mm-hmm. Right?
I guess so.
So I would say the expectation for me for Notre Dame this year is to get to the college football playoff semifinal.
Okay.
And then they will, in theory, be going up against any of these top 4 teams.
So be one of the 4 teams remaining when you say semifinal.
Yep, one of the 4 teams remaining. Okay. And if they avoid Georgia in that semifinal game, they can beat anybody else.
If Notre Dame is one of the 4 teams remaining at the end of the season, I will dress up as a leprechaun.
Really?
And we'll do the show as a leprechaun. I would be the largest leprechaun ever created, because I am 6'4" and a husky individual. But this is Notre Dame. Notre Dame, they always have a good regular season record, and then when the games actually count, that's what happens with Notre Dame.
No, Notre Dame usually runs into the eventual national champion in the college football playoff. The year they played Clemson, the year they play Alabama, the year they play Alabama in the national championship before the college football playoff. But they usually run into the best team in the country. And yes, they haven't been up to the task in years past. This year might be different. Marcus Freeman, say what you want. You want about the in-game struggles last year. That Ohio State game was a disaster. Years past, losing to Marshall, disaster. Marcus Freeman in year 3 is ready. Okay. I got a lot of trust. I got a lot of faith in Marcus Freeman that he is going to be a much more polished head coach. And this Notre Dame team, which is always strong in the trenches, which has a great quarterback in Riley Leonard, which always has great defensive backs, and you're going to hear about the Notre Dame secondary all year long and how great they are and how many interceptions they get. And they're going to be in the college football playoff. Guarantee. That's a guarantee.
And you think they would manhandle the offensive line of Texas, is what you said earlier, right?
I think in both offensively and defensively, they would push them around.
Texas has a very good offensive line this year, just say. But it's fine. I'm not going to be Brian Baldinger here and break down all the offensive lines. Stu, who's one team in the top 25 that you're fascinated to see where they finish at the end of the year?
LSU, another coach that is in year 3, Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly has a lot of success at year 3s, did so at Notre Dame, got to a national championship, did so at Cincinnati, led them to an undefeated season. I know they don't have Jaden Daniels. I know they lost some, obviously, skill position players as well, but I'm sure those guys will be churned out. It's more of the quarterback, and if Nussmeier can kind of do a little bit of what Daniels did, it's going to be tough to obviously replicate that. But I think LSU's a team that can make the playoffs, and we'll see what happens. But Kelly's very good in year 3.
Now, my team, I'm not expecting them to make the playoffs. I'm just fascinated if they're going to be in the top 25 or not. And that's Miami. It is like Miami has now turned into a program that they win one game and we're like, oh, are they back? You know, there are certain schools like that used to be great, and now we're no longer. This is a enormous year for Mario Cristobal, a guy that I've been a big fan of going back to FIU. Also, when he was at Oregon, walked into the Horseshoe and beat up on the Ohio State Buckeyes. And there was all those rumors about returning home to Miami. He finally elected to go home. Was 5-7, then 7-6. Last year, they had that terrible, disastrous loss up against Virginia Tech where they fumbled the ball late. But he's a game under 500 at Miami. I was surprised, and I like Cam Ward a lot, but I was surprised they were in the top 25 and they were ranked at 19. I want to see, especially with Florida early, if week 1, and their coach, Billy Napier, is on the hot seat. I want to see if Miami's in the top 25 at the end of the year. Their schedule: Florida A&M, Ball State, South Florida, Virginia Tech, who's going to be good this year, California, then a back-to-back tough stretch, Louisville, Florida State, then Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse. If you ask me, top 25 or not, it seems like a team that should be in the top 25. Now, I got to go to Marco Belletti here. Marco, I just typed in this word on my computer. Can you tell me what that word, how that's pronounced?
Imbecile?
Imbecile. Who in this room do you think was trying to say that word earlier and said it as imbecile? Do you think it's me? Do you think it's Stu? Or do you think it's Pat
definitely
Boyle?
not you, because I've been around long enough to know radio that you're not going to call yourself out. So it's obviously one of those guys on the other side of the glass.
Wait, I'm a man of accountability. I would call myself out.
You would do it in a different way. You're not going to say, which idiot would you think would be one of the three of us? Is it me?
Wait, hold on.
That ain't you.
Which imbecile do you think it is?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that's not going to happen. I'm going to assume, again, I got a 1 and 2 shot here. I'm going to assume it's Boyle.
Winner, chicken dinner. We were talking about the Cowboys earlier, and somehow Boyle said Jerry Jones, I think it was, he was acting like an imbecile, and I thought he was just kidding. But then he actually thought the word was pronounced imbecile.
Now, I will say this, and I'm pretty sure it's pronounced imbecile and that's it. Mm-hmm. But in Pat's defense, I will give you this.
The spelling?
No, not the spelling. No, because that's, if you speak English, you should know that a lot of words are not pronounced the way they're spelled. But what I do think is that's a word that almost jokingly you can say that, almost like there's certain words that, irregardless, it's not a real word, but like you'll say stupid things like that. Imbecile can be said that way, almost to give it a little more oomph, to really show how stupid you really can be. You can give that a little bit more. Instead of just being an imbecile, you're an imbecile. So you can use that if you're, kind of twisting it a bit. To actually think it's pronounced that way, and that's a stretch.
It's okay. There's sometimes a lot of, there's a herd/sheep mentality with a lot of things where people just say things wrong. I'm the correct minority here.
Is that a shot at me?
That's a shot at all you guys for saying that it's imbecile and that it's not imbecile.
I thought you were saying how I sometimes say a name or a word that has a D or a T in the middle of it, and I say it with a D in the middle of it.
Can I say this? This is not something where it's subjective. Like we could look this up. You can see how it's pronounced properly. You can, there's
we
websites
played it earlier. You said it was AI.
With an AI voice that.
And it was what?
Imbecile.
Okay. So this is not subjective. I was trying to give you a little bit here, Pat.
Being nice.
There's a branch I was trying to give you in the fact that you can,
bear.
Well, no, you could joke around, but to actually say that it's, up for debate, it's not up for debate. I mean, there's only certain ways that you can do things.
Yeah. It's like up for debate saying, it's not up for debate saying that Notre Dame is going to be in the top 4 of the teams remaining at the end of the day. There's no chance that's going to happen. You can't really debate that. You're an imbecile if you debate that.
See? And there you go.
See, you're saying it the right way now. You've seen your wrongs, and I'm glad that you have changed your ways, Zach.
All right.
We used to pronounce the country Turkey, and now we realize it's Turkey. So a lot of people used to pronounce it imbecile, and I'm glad that I am now showing the masses that it is imbecile.
Whatever makes you sleep at night, pal. We'll take a timeout, onside, offside next. I sound like our boss, David Meredith, there, dropping a pal. We will come on back. Here he is, Capitan Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Zach, NFL battles continue in camp. One of the most intriguing resides in Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields vying for the starting job. Wilson has been slowed by a calf injury, allowing Fields to get an upper hand and getting most of the work with the ones.
Trying to take advantage of each and every rep that I get. I know that if he wasn't hurt, then I wouldn't be in this position. So it's just opportunities for me. So yeah, I'm just trying to take full advantage of it, to be honest with you. But I'm trying to just approach every practice the same, get better each and every day.
Now, so Rams wideout Puka Nacua being called week to week, suffered a knee injury. This is on top of losing 3 offensive linemen, but Sean McVay understands no one's going to feel sorry for him.
There's no excuses. We might not have our guys throughout the course of the season. We were able to stay relatively healthy last year, and then we saw what it looked like the year before. That's not going to be an excuse for us. We've got to do a good job as coaches. The players have to accelerate their learning curve, and then we've got to be able to figure out what does that look like if we need to alter some of the things that maybe we anticipated being our identity, and that's part of my job as a coach.
Chiefs and kicker Harrison Butker reportedly agreeing on a 4-year extension, $25.6 million, just under $18 million in guaranteed money. And the Mets and Cardinals just underway. You got the Mets a 1-0 advantage, bottom 2. I'm Marco Belletti.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X and like us on Facebook. Our handle is @INF Sportsnet on X and INF Sportsnet for Facebook.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. We're the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God. We're back again.
It's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Charles in Chicago says, Zach, the White Sox have now lost 20 straight games and have a record of 27-87 and are on pace to lose the most games in Major League Baseball history. They've now had separate losing streaks of both 20 and 14 games this season. And if you simply subtracted those 34 games, their winning percentage would still be the worst in Major League Baseball. Do you think they're the worst sports team you've ever seen in your lifetime? Now, that's a great question. You could submit a question by tweeting at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. The White Sox are pretty damn close. But to lose all 16 games in a regular season that I saw the Detroit Lions do, that was the first team that I thought of.
That's a good one. I think the 2009-2010.
The Browns did too, right? Didn't the Browns go 1-16 one year as well?
They won one.
It felt like the Browns lost 1-0-16 for about
Every
a
year.
straight decade.
Yeah, boy, you're a Browns fan, right? Didn't they go
No,
on?
not anymore.
Well, you were. So I thought the Browns. I know that definitely the Lions did so with Marinelli, which was just
Brownies went.
Yeah, 0-16 in 2017 with Hugh Jackson.
Yep, and they went 1-15 the year before that.
Yeah, so the Browns and the Lions are the first two up the top of the right off the top of the cabeza that resonate with me. But yeah, man, how do you have 20 and 14 game losing streaks?
Feels made up. Feels impossible.
It really does. That's crazy. And that was 2008 when the Lions did go 0-16. All right, let's get an abbreviated version of onside offside. Boyle, hit it.
Zach's taking on the most polarizing issues in sports. Which side of the line of scrimmage will he end up on?
Offside. Defense number 69.
It's onsides, offsides with Zach Gelb.
All right, Zach, with the Pro Football Hall of Fame inductions taking place this weekend, the attention now turns to the 2025 class. New candidates include Marshawn Lynch, Luke Kuechly, Terrell Suggs, Adam Vinatieri, and, of course, Eli Manning.
Some good names.
Very good names. Now, Manning finished his career with just over 57,000 passing yards and 366 passing touchdowns, both 10th all-time, and 4 Pro Bowl appearances to go along with 2 Super Bowls and 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Onsides, offsides, Eli Manning should be a first-ballot Hall of Famer.
He will be a Hall of Famer, and I do think he will get in on the first try. Should he be, though? I don't think so. I would go offside on that.
Offside.
All-time great postseason quarterback. Good regular season quarterback. Having that last name Manning, though, matters. Playing quarterback matters. And also defeating the greatest dynasty that we've seen in the NFL twice in the biggest game matters. So I do think he'll get in on the first try.
Former NFL coach John Gruden made a special appearance at Chiefs training camp this weekend, helping out at practice, and he was there again today. in full Kansas City gear. Gruden, of course, hasn't coached since 2021 when he resigned from the Raiders. Onside, offsides, Gruden will coach again in either the NFL or college Division I level.
That doesn't mean as a head coach, right?
Correct, just a coach.
Now, we had Jay Gruden on, and he was kind of laughing at his brother ever being an offensive coordinator again. And I know, right, how close Andy and John are, but this just shows you how much of a coaching whore John Gruden is. He can't avoid staying away from the football field. So this is, you said no, it doesn't need to be a head coach, just coaching anywhere. Is that what you said?
That's right, coach anywhere.
Yeah, so I think he'll coach again because he can't help himself. You know, he's 60. Go enjoy life. You don't need to be on a practice field in the heat of August. So I do think he'll coach again, on sides.
The Dolphins and Tyreek Hill agreed to a contract restructure this weekend that will pay him $90 million over the next 3 seasons, with $65 million guaranteed. This comes after the Dolphins signed Jalen Waddle to a 3-year, $84 million extension, and of course Tua Tagovailoa to a 4-year, $212 million extension. Onsides, offsides, the Dolphins will win a playoff game this season.
I'll answer your question in just a second. Do you guys know what league John Gruden's an advisor in right now?
The Arena Football League?
Close.
The AAFL or whatever those
XFL.
other stupid leagues?
Shows you how much of a coaching whore this guy is.
Oh, boy.
The European League of Football. I didn't even know that existed. That's where he's an advisor. But anyway, the last question you have for me here, Stu. The Dolphins win a playoff game this season. I'm going offside.
Offsides.
I don't think the Dolphins are making the playoffs this season. The AFC is loaded. I think only 2 teams get in from the AFC East. I like the Buffalo Bills to get in. I like the New York Jets to get in. Miami will be solid. Miami will have a good record, but there's going to be a lot of teams that are good and solid that don't get into the playoffs. I'm going to say Miami is one of them. All right, it was a short version of Onside Offside, but that was all the time that we had today because we probably spent too much time on Pat Boyle and Marco scolding Pat Boyle. You have to feel really wrong when Marco scolds you for pronouncing the word imbecile. You know, when Marco has to yell at you, that's not a good sign.
Did he yell at me or did he just...
Stern talk.
Was it? Mm-hmm. Or did he just kind of reaffirm that he was wrong?
It was a Jack Stern talking.
No, I've heard him give a Stern talking to Jack Stern. I heard Marco go to a level I never heard him go to.
You did annoy Papa Bear Belletti. All right, a good show today. Boy, always great to see you, Stu. Thank you, as always, each and every one of you as well. Big thanks to my guest, Barrett Sallee, Drew Pearson as well. We'll be back tomorrow, everybody, at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We out. Have a good night. Bye-bye. Peace!
You're in a 5-minute